Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching third and final part of What If Naruto Gained the Power of an Alien World. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Long wasting no time, let's start the story.
Two teenagers were stopped when Team Kakashi, Hinata Hyuga, Alex, Kushina, Naruko, Miko, and Sveta flashed into a forest clearing. Naruto decided it would no longer be wise to conceal his true form, so he didn't bother. In addition, he doesn't want his wife to be angry. As they all turned to face the trees, they noticed two individuals wearing Konoha headbands. The Konoha leaf symbol plate was on Naruto's gauntlets, and another was on a dark purple band that encircled his forehead, but he was still wearing his Umbra armor. He carried a large sword on his back that resembled the dark Jupiter blade but was lighter in color, and his dark knuckles were over his fingers. Though mostly disregarded, his whisker marks were still visible on his cheeks. Although it was hidden by a cloak, the burnt orange character on the back stood for Fox of Nine. The hero of Morgul's kanji was displayed on the back of the cloak, which was also dark purple. Light blue flames were also present at the bottom. Sakura was dressed in the same dark brown and forest green battle dress she had on prior to being absorbed by the vortex. Her neck-length hair was held back from her forehead by her headband, which was in the same spot. Additionally, she wore silver gauntlets composed of Zal, a metal that had not yet been identified. In addition to wearing a silver rapier, the Sylph rapier, her attire had not changed much. Sasuke was dressed exactly as he had been in Weird, but a tiny Uchiha fan was now perched on his left shoulder. He appeared more composed with his headband back over his forehead. He had his sword at his waist, across his back. Both Miko and Naruko were dressed in Umbra apparel. The only distinction was that, like Anko, Naruko was wearing a trench coat that was similar in color and shape. In a sheath that protruded over her right shoulder, Miko carried the Zeus staff on her back. There was no need for Naruko to display a weapon. Kushina wore silver gauntlets made of Zal and Konohagakure Chunin garb. Over her forehead was a headband bearing the Konohagakure symbol. She had her blade on her back. Kakashi was still dressed in his typical garb. The only significant difference was that he was carrying Solaris on his back and the Ice Queen stone was in a necklace. He took her with him because she wanted to stay because she liked him so much. There was a difference between the two in the trees. One was female, wore a purple dress, had blonde hair, and wore 2 rings across her chest. She wore her hair in a ponytail that reached her mid-back. She wore ninja sandals, and her eyes were blue. In addition, she had additional bandages covering her upper legs, a headband featuring the Konoha symbol just below them, and bandages around her waist. It was Yamanaka Ino. The other was a man with jet black hair, dark brown pants, a mesh shirt underneath, and a gray short-sleeved jacket. He had his left bicep wrapped in a headband. Shikamaru Nara was this person. Sakura said, "Ino, why are you here?" "Sakura, I sent word to have a team come here a few minutes before I went through, and we don't know how long it would have taken to get there, because the space-time continuum in Weird and the one here is completely out of sync. There is no time ratio between the two," Naruto said in a calm voice. Kakashi noted, "It appears that they are working on the tree climbing exercise. Where's Asuma?" Shikamaru jumped down from the branch he was on and stared at Naruto for a few seconds before turning his attention to Miko, Kushina, and Naruko in that order. "He's at the client's house, resting from chakra exhaustion. We were able to call for help, but you're the first to arrive." He looked at Naruto and said, "Naruto, who are the redheads, and why do you have a clone using your Orochi no Jutsu?" With a sigh, Ino descended again. "Shikamaru, Naruto's a dead last idiot, with no sense of fashion. He never wears anything but that orange jumpsuit." Shikamaru rubbed his temples and said, "Troublesome." Naruto laughed. He turned to Shikamaru and said, "Ino, no one knew who I was. Not even the Hokage knew." Shikamaru's eyes widened when he said, "Shika, the blonde is my sister, Naruko. The redhead with a sword is my mother, Kushina Uzumaki. The one with the staff on her back is my other sister, Miko. We're effectively triplets." Sveta approached them after Shikamaru sighed and turned to face Naruto. Then Naruto nodded. "Shikamaru Nara." Another nod. "And the blonde banshee? I see." Shikamaru was extended a hand by Sveta. "It's a pleasure to meet one of the Nara clan, and a friend of my husband here. I am Sveta Uzumaki, former heiress of the Zamoral clan." Naruto nodded, and Shikamaru's eyes grew wide as he turned to face him. He took her hand, and as they shook, she almost crushed his. "Yeah, she is." After regaining his hand, he spoke, "Strong grip." Her ears perked up just as Ino was about to yell at her, and she punched Ino once, striking her in the nose, sending her flying through 7 trees and knocking down an 8th. Sveta frowned and said, "No yelling. Some of us have more sensitive ears than others." Shikamaru questioned her, "How did you know she was going to yell?" "Simple. The sharp intake and amount of air she brought in would either mean a long sentence with no interruptions, unlikely, or a short burst of yelling. These ears of mine are not just accessories, you know," she responded. Naruto gave her a look. "I would have sent her at least 3 times as far." Before they all turned to gaze at Ino's prone form, Sveta confessed, "I blame the trees. Although she's gonna need some kind of medical attention after that, she won't die, I think." Using spirit sense, Naruto discovered she was unconscious. Naruko was about to move, but Naruto raised a hand and said, "She's alive, just unconscious. If anyone picks her up, it'll be Sakura. They have a friendship to bring back up to speed." Sakura merely shrugged and materialized immediately beside her, shocking Shikamaru with her swiftness. She placed her over her shoulder and then reappeared with Ino still there, seemingly unmoving. "How?" "Naruto's stamina training is ruthless, but I gotta say it works," replied Sakura. Sasuke gave a nod. "He's a sadistic taskmaster, but he gets the job done." Alex turned to face Hinata, still wearing her mask and Hikari garb. "Hikari, you don't need the mask, you know?" Hikari answered, "I know, father, I just like it." Alex looked around after shaking his head. Naruto's head turned a little. "Alex, what are you looking for?" "Whoever's watching us." Getting everyone's attention, Naruto answered, "I'm not worried. It's only the Sandaime Hokage with his crystal ball. He's probably still in his office, too." Kushina asked, "Since when does it reach this far? I remember trying to use it myself, but I couldn't even look in Tanzaku-gai, which is closer to the village." Naruto gave a shrug. He looked to the north and closed his eyes to gauge the distance to Konohagakure before opening them and saying, "Probably have to ask him. Alex, warp Hikari about 500 miles that direction." "What for?" inquired Hikari. Naruto gave them both a look. "You need to show them you're still alive and safe. You also need to explain things to Heishi. You were learning what you were born with, and Alex was the one to teach you, along with his sister, Mia. The Hyuga clan can't deny it, as it was in your blood as well." Hikari gave a nod. "Should I tell them?" Naruto gave a shrug. "There's no reason to hide it anymore. I already had a friend tell the Hokage, but I'm not sure if she got the message fast enough. I'm coming out with my true skill and form." Shikamaru questioned, "What connection does she have to the Hyuga?" Naruto said, "Later." Kakashi raised his voice. "You mind leading us to Asuma? We may be able to help. Our target right now is Gato." Then, in a flash of light, Alex and Hinata warped out. Shikamaru took note. Shikamaru glanced at Kakashi and nodded, saying, "That was not chakra, and it looks like our paths coincide. I'll lead you to him, but I don't think our client has enough room in their house for all of you." Naruto gave a shrug. "I'm used to living in a forest. Sveta, Naruko and Miko can stay with me out here, if there's no room." "Naruto," began Kushina. "Ka-san, I stayed in the forest of death for weeks at a time," replied Naruto. "I think I can handle this one." Miko noted, "I was with him. I know he can handle it." Shikamaru let out a sigh. "Troublesome." Before turning to face Shikamaru, Kushina shot back, "If you're staying out here, then so am I. Shall we?" Naruto simply let out a sigh. "Fine. The remaining Uzumaki will be out here, if there isn't enough room." Over Sakura's shoulder, Shikamaru guided them through the forest because Ino was unconscious. After 10 minutes of walking, they arrived at a big house on the water with a wooden deck for a porch that led to the coast. When a woman answered the door after Shikamaru knocked, she saw Shikamaru. "Oh, Shikamaru, come on in." She saw the others as the door opened further. "Who are these people?" According to Shikamaru, "Friends of ours. Probably also the back up we requested." Tsunami nodded, but the size perplexed him. "Why so many?" "It was more on coincidence we were heading this way, and were told to head this way instead of going back," said Naruto. "We just finished an S rank, and, well, we've gotten our rest before we could return. We weren't given any details, either." After giving them a nod, Tsunami led them upstairs to the Asuma room, where Kakashi, Sakura, and Kushina entered. The others remained downstairs. With a feeble voice, Asuma Sarutobi said, "Ugh. Kakashi. I thought they'd send Anbu. We were in the area, and were asked to help out. Besides, it's not just my team, either." Kakashi acknowledged. I'm sure you remember Kushina Uzumaki, right? How could I forget? Asuma sat up with difficulty, but succeeded. It's the reason I tried to help Naruto whenever I could. Why? The voice made him tense, but then he saw Kushina. Good. You're not one of the bigots. Asuma, it's been a while. Breathing, Asuma said, Kushina. Thanked Kami. They sent you. But wait, how are you alive? Asuma, I survived a Biju extraction, followed by being pierced through the lung by a claw from said Biju. I honestly don't know how I'm alive, but I'm not complaining. I've been looking for a way to my son for 8 years, and, as it turns out, we found each other on his last mission, which went from C rank to S. Asuma choked back a laugh. With what I remember, I can't say I'm surprised. Any chance you can help with chakra exhaustion? Sakura caught Kushina's attention. That's your department, Sakura. Sakura nodded before starting to make a tiny pill. Here, eat this, but don't move for about an hour. It should help. So Asuma chewed it and swallowed it. His body tensed up when he did, and then he fainted. Sakura gave a blink. Didn't mean to make it that strong, she said, then looked at his rapidly refilling chakra levels. But so far it's working. Kushina gave her a smile. Good job, Sakura. Chakra restore pills are a success. Sakura noted, well, you know Sasuke and I were the test subjects for it. Seriously, his training regime is torture. We needed all the chakra we could get. Kushina noted, I noticed, but it is effective. Hawk, a messenger, arrived a few hours later and left a message at Asuma's window. Kakashi accepted and read the message. Kakashi thought, looks like we really are the back up. After returning downstairs, Kakashi saw the other members of the group. Team 7 is, in fact, Team 10's backup. Same with Team Kushina. Sasuke asked, Team Kushina? Naruto inquired, so, it went through? Kakashi gave nod. Yes, it did. Good news. I wasn't demoted for telling you of your father. Kushina is the sensei. Sveta, Miko and Naruko are the genin. No one would question some new genin, Naruto said. Kakashi gave nod. Though I wonder why you put genin when they're Chunin level. Naruto questioned, how many are going to question 3 new genin? Besides, the Chunin exams are coming up soon. They'll want to take them, and we'll get to the end, and pass. We made sure of that. Kakashi gave nod. You're all Chunin level in mind, experience, and skill. Kushina gave a nod. Best to work their way up, I suppose. Miko said, it'll be boring, but we can do it. Naruko acknowledged, the only downside is D ranks. Naruto gave a shrug. You'll have to endure it. I thought of it as a test of restraint. I cracked after 3 weeks. See if you can break that time. And if we do? Inquired Sveta. I'll attach myself to a post with a sign on my nude body that reads, I'm a pervert trying to quit, please help me. If Naruko doubles that time, which would be 6 weeks. Naruto said, and ask you girls to spread the word. Naruko said, ooh. What about Miko? She would have to triple it. I know she's more patient than I am. If she does. I'm not sure what I'd do. Naruto thought about it. I'd leave it to her. And if I do? Naruto warned her, Sveta, if you really snap, I'd cut off my own foot and eat it. Seriously, if you try, you won't snap before those two. I know you too well. It's either going to be Naruko or Miko who snap first. Sveta gave a headshake. Just thought I'd ask. After responding with a sigh, Naruto sensed Choji Akamichi approaching the property. There's Choji. And an old man, probably Tazuna. Choji noticed the group of people inside the house as well as 4 kunoichi he didn't recognize. Then he saw Kakashi. You're our back up. Kushina and Kakashi both nodded. Kakashi Hitaki. You may not recognize them, but that's Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke, Kakashi said. Before introducing her team, Kushina introduced herself as Kushina Uzumaki, Sveta, Miko and Naruko. Choji remarked, huh. Naruko looks like Naruto's Orochi no Jutsu. To Choji's surprise, Kushina said, not surprised. Miko, Naruko, and Naruto are triplets. Choji then turned to face Naruto in his older form. Choji, Naruko and Miko are related to me, and Kushina is my mother. Just met her on my last mission. She didn't have much of a choice in leaving, because she's been out of contact with the village for 8 years. And for the record, I'm really 20 years old. Choji blinked. Shikamaru no. To which Naruto answered, he does now. Okay. So, what's new? Kushina questioned, what, no questions? Choji said, I don't think I'd understand much of it, so I'm not gonna ask. Naruto shrugged. I'll give you the short and simple version. I was out of action for 2 weeks when I was 8, and it resulted in me aging 7 years with training in separate abilities that I never showed. Choji gave a nod. Good to know. Think you can help? Everyone in the group nodded. They had a guard duty rotation in place. At the bridge, Tazuna would be guarded by a pair of people while Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji trained. Those who weren't in training were either patrolling the house or searching for Gato's hiding place. After recovering, Asuma assisted in team training. The first group was Naruto and Sveta. The second group belonged to Sakura and Sasuke. Group 3 was made up of Miko and Naruko. Kushina and Kakashi were in Group 4. But on the third day, another man brandishing a LAS, large-ass sword, or Zanbatu if you prefer the formal term, had targeted the bridge. Team 10 had mentioned both of them. The Demon of the Mist, Zabuza Momochi, and the enigmatic imposter hunter Nin. Huh? New guards? Asked Zabuza, the man brandishing the big sword, but they're puny. Naruko's gaze wavered. I take it you're Zabuza Momochi? With his sword in hand, Zabuza answered, so you know who I am. This'll be easy. Miko and Naruko moved forward, flared their chakra to 5%, which was still quite high, and used the chakra's sheer power to drive the mist away, making Tazuna perspire. Zabuza whistled. Nice reserves, but that has to be your limit. Naruko's gaze darkened. Miko. Get Haku. Miko gave her a quick look. Do I even want to know? In Naruko's right hand, the dark Jupiter blade, Judai's, materialized. Her head shot up, and her eyes were slitted in deep red. That bastard is gonna die, she exclaimed. She disappeared, then materialized directly in front of Zabuza, startling him with her swiftness. She sent a downward slash at him, which he just missed. After staring at her for a while, he decided to go all out and pulled out his LAS to launch an assault. She gave him a fierce look. You're gonna die, Zabuza. You're stronger than those piece of shit Konohagakis. How did the old man hire you? For the record, I was just instated a few days ago. Naruko responded, but that doesn't matter. It won't save you from the wrath of the storm. Before she faced Haku in combat, Miko used a lightning bolt to destroy her water clones, so Zabuza didn't see her left index finger flash 5 times. 20 seconds, and you're dead. Zabuza and Naruko rushed. Care to back that up? But Zabuza was stopped suddenly. Why? He was caught off guard when a glowing golden sword stabbed him from the upper right. Just before Naruko arrived to cut him in two, 3 more entered, creating a pair of X. When the 5th sword reached his head, she cut him in 2 with Judai's and exclaimed, and here it is. Odyssey. Blood spurted from both halves as they fell to the ground. Even though the cut was clean, Judai's also had blood on him. She flicked the blood away and turned to face Miko after noticing that she had bound Haku. Naruko said, she's an enemy. Why tie her up? And why is she still conscious? Miko surprised Naruko by responding, because, Naruko, she's a Mercury Adept. Now perplexed, Naruko shot back, but I thought they'd be in Weird, if there were any. Miko turned to face Naruko. Naruko, Kakashi is a Sol Adept, and they left Weird for the Elemental Nations. Who's to say some of the other clans didn't come too? After giving it some thought, Naruko nodded. Point taken. Sasuke and Sakura landed on the bridge at that moment, followed by Kushina and Kakashi, Naruto, and Sveta. Kakashi inquired, what happened? Zabuza and this guy struck, but there's more on the way, Miko said. Long story short, Zabuza pissed Naruko off. How badly? Inquired Naruto. She used Odyssey, which is weird. Odyssey falls under the Venus branch, and she's a Jupiter. Miko brought this up. Bewildered, Sakura questioned, she can do that? Naruto answered, yeah, she can. So can I. Turns out, Odyssey isn't Venus specific. All you really need is a large blade. Kakashi could learn it and use it with Solaris. Kakashi gave him a look and shrugged, never tried. Naruto said, on that note, Gato also sent 2 thugs to the house. A simple backhand sent them flying. Everyone's eyes were on him. Kakashi inquired, anything else? Tsunami and Inari were watching. I wasn't about to make it bloody in front of a kid. Naruto said. But for now, we've got company. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the end of the bridge, where a midget and several bandits and thugs were present. Naruto focused his gaze on the midget, Gato. Then he looked over at Haku. Who's this? Miko said, Haku, the fake hunter Nin. Kakashi tensed a little. She's also a Mercury Adept. The only people who weren't shocked by that were Naruto and Naruko. Naruto looked at the crowd and remarked, "Haku, you're going to have to come with us. We're probably the only ones that'll be able to teach you usage of your abilities." The midget laughed and said, "Huh? Looks like the demon of the mist fled, as if I was going to pay him in the first place. How much damage are you willing to allow to your bridge if I can kill them all in one shot?" Naruto asked, his eyes shadowing before turning to face Tazuna. "I don't really care how much you kill them all, but how?" Sveta prevented the others from following Naruto as he said, "A storm is brewing." After Kushina began, "What are you?" She saw Naruto stab his sword into the bridge and shed his top, which made Sveta hesitate a little. "Gato. You're mad because you don't know who the storm is coming from. Hey, it would be better for you to work for me," Gato yelled. Silently, Naruto raised his right arm parallel to the ground, his hand clenched slightly, and then, to the confusion of everyone except Sveta, the group behind him saw two melpulls emerge from his shoulder blades. Sveta exhaled, "He's really going for it, get down." As real lightning struck the two melpulls extending from Naruto's back, which at that point surrounded his arms and upper torso, she gave the order to the others and knocked Tazuna to the ground. "You see, Gato, you've done something I would never even consider," she said. "Rape, slavery, and more. Why I removed my top is a mystery to some of the viewers. This method, when in use, it will tear up any metal or clothing on the back, shoulders, and upper torso. Because of its strength, no normal human can use the lightning move without suffering repercussions. For those of you who are aware, this is what prompted me to find the Jupiter Cannon, and when I use it to its maximum potential, I experience no adverse effects." Tazuna was perplexed, but everyone else except Sveta was taken aback. The wind encircled them, and Naruto's fists clenched as the lightning struck his arms. When the villagers and Team 10 reached the bridge, they witnessed Naruto transferring the lightning to his clenched hands and advancing them in the direction of every thugs. This move would fatally wound the Ichibi no Tanuki, Shukaku, and is only accessible during a natural storm. Additionally, I'll use it on you. With their palms facing the thugs, Naruto's hands spread wide. Supreme Jupiter Cannon. A huge beam that was 30 feet in diameter and made of wind, lightning, and pure energy left his hands and engulfed everything in its path. The wind would create a backdraft, and the lightning would shock everything in the wind, but nothing was there. The lightning stopped moving down the arms. After 30 seconds, the beam dwindled. Naruto sighed and turned around, saying, "I have all of Gato's information," while explaining it. "However, using that move bothers me. It's difficult to manage." He had everyone looking at him in wonder. "What? There's a storm overhead, and he irritated me. As promised, it had started to rain, so we should leave the area. If I had to face him, I'd die in an instant." "Who are these people?" Haku said, his eyes widening even. "That was the power of P synergy," Naruto said, turning to face Haku. He turned to Miko and said, "You took her out, right? I have the 4 most powerful P synergy techniques, but I can only use one." She nodded. "Miko and Naruko are equally as strong as I am. However, compared to Miko, Naruko is far less patient and far more bloodthirsty. And that's something we can all use." "Why? Then why save me?" Haku asked. "We can assist you in training because you possess a talent. You will eventually have the opportunity to learn one of the 4 supreme P synergy that I developed. Sasuke, Kushina, and Sakura are all aware of one. She was bound by ropes, but Naruto held out a hand to her and said, 'But you must come with us to learn. Out of all the shinobi here, only Kakashi can use one, not counting you. There is no bloodline in Hyouden. This is a component of P synergy. Its roots are in P synergy, but it has always been replicated with chakra through intensive training. We'll teach you everything you need to know about P synergy if you come along.' Taking the hand, Haku said, 'I will.' 'Good,' Naruto smiled at her. 'Killing someone like you would have been terrible. Haku, you have a good heart. For you, the path of Mercury is a good choice. More often than not, they are healers rather than combatants.' 'I'd like that,' said Haku, smiling now as he nodded. 'I dislike taking lives.' Naruto surprised her by saying, 'Neither do I, but if it's to protect those I consider precious, then I will.' Haku said, 'Then we think of like mind.' As the group made their way back to their houses, Naruto was praised by everyone for eliminating all of Gato's thugs by himself. Naruto sighed, but after the second day, he and Sveta disappeared into the forest. Despite the fact that she was not regarded as a healer, Kushina did her best to teach Haku everything she could about P synergy, and Haku picked it up pretty quickly. She also possessed Zabuza's sword, Kabikari Bocho. She sparred with Naruko occasionally but not frequently. For 2 weeks after the attack on the bridge, neither Naruto nor Sveta had been seen by any shinobi, and although Kushina was a little concerned, she chose not to pursue them. They had hoped that Naruto and Sveta would discover when the bridge was completed, but they were 40 minutes late, and it had been time to depart. "Where have you been, Naruto?" Kushina inquired. "Sorry, we're late." Sveta thumbed at Naruto, who appeared sheepish, and said, "The orphans didn't want him to go." "You were with the orphans, right? But I was sure I checked there," Miko said, now perplexed. Shaking his head, Naruto said, "Miko, have you forgotten? No one can find me if I don't want to be found. I just decided to help the orphans and continue as I had grown up. In this manner, their lives are better than mine." "Wait, Naruto-kun." Everyone looked at the incoming teenagers and children. Naruto turned to them with a slight smile, knelt down, and Sveta shook her head, saying, "Told you." Then she turned to face them. When the children arrived at the blonde, they gathered around him and asked, "Are you sure you have to leave?" "You are welcome to remain with us." "I apologize to the children, but I must. More bad guys will do what Gato did here, so I need to kick more ass." Naruto smiled sadly at them and said, "I probably would if I could stay, but I can't. I have to help them, the same way I helped you. I apologize." This continued for 10 minutes while everyone watched. A group of shinobi nodded and left after Naruto tapped Kakashi on the shoulder and said, "Let's get out of here," while they focus on the shadow clone. When the clone heard that Tazuna had chosen to call it the Great Naruto Bridge, Inari turned to face him, raised the crossbow, and saw Naruto wink at him. Inari then shot the clone in the chest, making it go poof, saying, "That was not Naruto. He left behind that clone." With a strange sense of confidence, Inari stated, "He had to get moving to save more people like us, but he'll be back. He always fulfills the promises he makes. He fulfilled his promise to save our nation. He will return." After glancing at him and noticing the crossbow, the orphans noticed that the boy, Inari, was now pointing out, "The real Naruto's already gone ahead." The orphans nodded pitifully, but they looked down. 6 hours later, Konohagakure Gate. After reaching the gates, Team 10, Team 7, and Team Kushina were checking in. Kakashi turned to face his group and said, "We have reports to give to the Hokage. You made them out already, I assume?" Kakashi glanced at Kushina and said, "Then we'll go turn them in." Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura nodded. Each of Kushina, Sveta, Naruko, and Miko held out a scroll and said, "We've got ours ready, we're good." Asuma glanced at each of them. "Were you all expected to submit a report?" Both teams nodded. "Huh. Go home, Shikamaru, Ino, and Shoji. A day off for everyone." As they headed to the Hokage's office, Team 7, Team Kushina, and Asuma heard a lot of people pointing at Naruto and whispering, believing him to be the Yondaime Hokage, his smirk concealed as he said, "The fools. They have no idea." They arrived at the Hokage Tower in just 9 minutes, and it took them 2 more minutes to reach the Hokage's office. They entered right away, and Asuma put the scroll down on the desk and said, "Hokage Sama, here's the team report, and thank you for sending them." "I'll take a look at it later," Hiruzen said, nodding. "Asuma, please leave us." Hiruzen glanced at Kushina and said, "Prove who you are." Asuma nodded and departed using Shunshin. "You want me to bring up the noisy dress incident?" Kushina asked, raising an eyebrow. "Or perhaps the time I was able to persuade Minato to allow you and Jiraiya-kun to enter the women's hot springs on Kunoichi Day?" Sarutobi tensed, not anticipating that. "All right. I think it's you," Sarutobi yelled, attempting to interrupt her. "Prank?" Naruto inquired. Naruko, Miko, Naruto, Sveta, and Kushina all pulled out what appeared to be a potato chip and banged them together, saying, "One of my favorites." Kushina smiled in response. Prankster's glory, everybody was grinning. "Oh shit," said Sarutobi, pale. "Hiruzen, now that you know I'm really me, you're probably wondering where I was at." Kushina began, receiving a nod. "Well, to put it succinctly, I've been trying to find a way back here for 8 years. I couldn't really do anything that way without any sort of summon contract." She produced a scroll, which contains details about my location, my learnings, the local customs, fauna, and everything else. However, I couldn't find much about lore. After putting it in a pile, Sarutobi said, "I'll look at it later, Kakashi?" "This is what happened from my perspective, and everything I've managed to learn myself, along with the specifics of the blade on my back," Kakashi said as he took the stage. "References to a person named Solaris and another named Chloe will appear. The big sword on my back is Solaris. The jewel around my neck is Chloe. They're both sentient. I understand. And the details about them? In the report, said Kakashi. I think Anko sent you a message, said Sarutobi, nodding. But I had everything you asked for written up. Naruto conceded, I hadn't gotten it until after we got back. Naruto took a step forward and produced 2 scrolls, one green and one black. The green one contains what happened on my end during the trip. The black one contains all of the artifacts and lore associated with them, which go back at least 300 years. In essence, an artifact is included if it has been mentioned in a rumor during that period. Did Anko give you the P-Synergy book I wrote? Well, there's some more information I found after I put as much in it as I could, said Sarutobi, nodding. Although I was unable to write it down, I was able to locate information about Luna Adepts. How was your initial visit there? As a result, I would include that in an oral report with the appropriate individuals present. Naruto acknowledged, I'd much rather that stay secret among those that don't need to know. I won't say anything if I don't think they should or should know. Naruto nodded, and each of them approached with a dossier. These are their skills, name, and everything else. Sarutobi nodded. I had heard you compiled a list of your true skills along with your 2 sisters. What about the other one? Sarutobi turned to face Sveta, who turned to face Naruto. He's reliable, Sveta. He is, but it took multiple uses of spirit sense to confirm it. I'll admit that my jutsu repertoire isn't that extensive, Sveta said, putting hers on the desk with a sigh. It's because Naruto's first trip taught me how to use chakra, and I'm not from this world. After reviewing every dossier, Sarutobi nodded and said, I see. He was a little taken aback. Kakashi. I must say that after seeing Naruto's, nothing is fabricated. The same is true for Sveta, Miko, and Naruko. So why had he brought them in as genin? Sarutobi gave him a stern look. Even if they are master adepts and 20 years old, nobody would question a returning Chunin and a few new genin, would they? With all the chaos the council was causing, I got them in and made them an official genin team, but these stats are the equivalent of high Chunin. Sarutobi made the point. Naruto turned to face Kakashi and said, I sent Anko a message saying I had plans for Team 7. Sensei, did you create the dossiers for Sakura and Sasuke? These are the updated ones on Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, Kakashi said, nodding and holding them out. Looking at them, Sarutobi was taken aback. And how did they get this good? My training regime. Naruto said. They get better quickly, or they're going to kill themselves doing it. Sarutobi turned to face Naruto and asked, what is the training regime? Anko told me about it, but she doesn't say anything. Naruto noted, well, she probably didn't want you to put anyone through it. Nonetheless, I'll have to write it up. However, I would only describe the first level, which is where they began. When you level up, you double the reps, and I was at level 40 when I left the academy. Before you can level up, you must finish everything in a single day for 5 days in a row. Naruto nodded. Team 12 led by Kushina Uzumaki, consisting of Sveta Uzumaki, Miko Uzumaki, and Naruko Uzumaki. Sarutobi nodded. I'll expect it by tomorrow. You already have an S-rank mission and an A-rank mission, and you are an official team. You will therefore be compensated for both of them. Team 7, you have also finished both of them and are in a good position because none of your students have died in the process, they said, nodding. That, in my opinion, is a job well done, Sarutobi added. Kakashi said, thank you, Hokage. Sama. They provided their skills, but not Alex's background, Sarutobi said, adding, also, Hinata has already given me her account of what happened, as has Alex. Is there anyone who knows why? Haku and everyone else in the room nodded. I see. Should I give them a call? He has yet to forgive himself for what he had to do. Naruto shook his head, adding, he wants to forget the past, and that is why he came with us, or his daughter. Which reminds me. Sarutobi turned to face Naruto. They conducted 3 more blood tests, and it turns out that Heishi is not related to Hinata by blood. Rather, Alex is her father. The Council of Hyuga was incensed. I figured that out, Naruto said, shaking his head. How about Alex? He has been training Hinata wherever he could, and because of him, Hinata's skills have improved, Sarutobi said, adding, he is being watched by Anbu. He has been brought into Kurenai Yuhi's home. He is tolerable to her. Although he has also assisted her team, he consistently objects to being accepted as a shinobi. Naruto said, no surprise there. Anything else worth mentioning? Not that I'll tell you. Naruto grinned and said, thank you. Did you use the information to clean house? That I did, replied Sarutobi with a smirk. Additionally, the academy has undergone a total transformation. Naruto gave a nod. May I offer some recommendations? It's in here. Sarutobi nodded and held up a gold scroll, indicating that it was the Shadow Army's training schedule. Much more humane, but not as good as my training. It's 10 times safer for the body and mind, but it's only about 30% as effective as mine. I'll go through it, too. Sarutobi nodded. Everyone is fired except for Naruto, Kushina, and Kakashi. Every shinobi in attendance has 3 days off. Everyone except Haku, the Uzumakis, and Kakashi left when Sarutobi said, I do not believe I asked you 3 to stay. You've earned it, from what I can tell. They're my children, aside from Sveta, who is Naruto's wife, said Kushina. Since I'm the only one that knows where the house is, then they have to wait for me. Bring Ruka Amino, Anko Midarashi, Tuchi, and Ayame Ichiraku to my office, said Sarutobi, letting out a sigh before pressing a button. In an hour, I want them here. Indeed, sir. And who is this? Sarutobi asked, turning to face Haku. My name is Haku Momochi. They say I'm also a Mercury Adept, Haku said. Kushina has been teaching me, but I would rather heal than kill. With a nod, Sarutobi said, I can get you a position in the hospital. Haku answered, that would be appreciated. I can also arrange a place for you to stay. That won't be necessary. Haku is staying with us, Kushina said. With the exception of Hinata and Alex, we are the only ones who can teach her more under peace synergy. That's that, said Sarutobi. I see. But you will need to demonstrate your abilities to our shinobi. In 3 days, I will call for the skill test. You should have enough time to recuperate and get ready. Thank you, Hokage. Sama, please wait outside, Haku. Sarutobi sighed and gave Naruto a stern look before saying, I don't understand why you kept all that from even Iruka and myself. Haku bowed and walked out of the room. I saw that coming, so I took the liberty of putting my reasons into this, Naruto said, letting out a sigh and removing a black ball before extending it for the Hokage to grasp. For Hinata and Heishi, I followed suit. After taking it and letting his eyes glaze over, Sarutobi blinked for a few minutes before turning to face Naruto. So, that was true? In response, Naruto said, every word. All right, we should wait for the others to get here. I would also like to have Sasuke, Sakura, Hinata, and Alex here when I do speak, Naruto said, nodding. They are just as involved in this as the people I'm interested in. Sarutobi gave a nod, but Naruto was quicker to respond, saying, I already called them. How? Hiruzen asked, glancing at Naruto. Spirit sense is a two-way street. I can also send messages, Naruto replied. Iruka, Anko, the Ichirakus, Sasuke, Sakura, Hinata, and Alex were in the Hokage's office when the time came. You call this, Hokage? Sama? Did something happen to Naruto? Inquired Iruka, a tanned man wearing Chunin garb with a scar across his nose. Naruto turned to face Iruka and said, Iruka, sensei, really? Like the others, Iruka turned to face Naruto. Naruto? The Ichirakus and Iruka yelled. Anko simply smiled. How are you, Gaki? Yes, I am. Everyone nodded, and they all sat down. And Anko, I'm fine, Naruto said. You might want to sit down, because this is a long story. The majority of you are already aware of my 2-week disappearance at the age of 8. Naruto then started his story, which continued unabated. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth of what happened while I was away. Everyone laughed at some parts or shook their heads when he finished reading it all, which had taken him 4 hours. I discovered at the age of 15 that Kurama had been preparing me to succeed him as a Biju. He disappeared from my mindscape once he was fully absorbed through the seal, and I was returned here. I basically looked like this when I returned, as you can see in my current attire. Only Anko was aware of some of what I discovered there, and I had never mentioned it. It is true that the Kyuubi no Yoko who attacked the village 12 years ago is no longer alive. I am his heir. Since Sveta is my wife, she is aware of this. Naruto sighed and said, You're the first people in the village to know what happened during that time, as everyone fell silent. This is the time to ask any questions you may have. You weren't taking the academy seriously, were you? Iruka posed the first query. I wasn't, Naruto said, shaking his head. When I took the academy, I thought it was just a joke. But then, that's what I think. You witnessed the outcome of my deliberate failure to ascertain Mizuki's desires the 3rd time. You had all that planned out, didn't you? Iruka said, nodding. Naruto nodded. That's right, Naruto. You have my admiration. You are a genuinely great shinobi, not just one with the potential to be great. Naruto smiled at him, saying, Sochi. I don't believe I need to speak. I apologize for not finding a way to congratulate you sooner, but that's about all I can do. You accomplished all of that without my assistance or your father's. He would undoubtedly be pleased with the way you handled it. I am aware of this. With one tear in his eye, Naruto said, Thanks, Ka-san. I think I speak for all of us when I say that you've effectively passed everyone here, Kakashi said, clearing his throat. Teaching you ninjutsu is really the only thing I can do. And to think that I haven't imparted any knowledge to you. You just didn't know what I knew, and our team didn't exactly get along, Naruto smiled at him. Thanks for not putting that on me. It wasn't your fault. Naruto replied. Sasuke had a stick so far up his ass he had to cough it up. In response, Sasuke said, Rub it in. If I did that, it would do more harm than good, said Naruto, raising an eyebrow. Did you get any of these guys immune? Anko then said. Sveta, Naruko, and Miko are immune, Naruto said, nodding. I took care of Sveta and Naruko. Miko was, Naruko ensured. Looking directly at Naruto, Sveta said, I still say that hurt like hell. And I keep telling you, we hit harder on our own, and grind bones to dust through skin, Naruto said, shaking his head. It's unlikely that a few needles will hurt more than that. But yes, Sveta said, shaking her head, I'm immune to everything Naruko could cook up. That's every poison I know of and then some, Anko said, whistling. Did she receive the one she made herself? Nodding, Naruko said, yes, we all have. Sakura and Sasuke were even included. They're also immune. Ah, goody. Anko looked like a kid in the candy shop. Then she looked at Naruto. What about that? Hasn't Hinata done it yet? Startled, Naruto inquired. I was waiting for you, in case it got out of control, Hinata said, shaking her head. We didn't have a seal master or the person who put the bind on it, so someone had to keep the seals maintained. I've never seen someone use bind-piece synergy to that extent, said Alex, nodding. I have never witnessed anyone accomplish anything like that. With a smile, Naruto said, that's what happens when one can defy logic as I can. Naruko, Miko, and Kushina all smiled. Anko glanced at Naruto and asked, how long until we can do it? It's your call, Naruto said, turning to face Hinata. When you're ready, I'll be there. How about tomorrow at noon? Hinata asked, nodding. Anko gave a nod. Traditional Ground 44 has a tower. Enter there. It's the Grand Hall, Naruto. Would you mind? Not at all, said Naruto, shaking his head. Hinata and Anko nodded, and I'll take her there. As that has been resolved, is there anything else you would like to know? Yes. To the surprise of everyone but the Uzumakis, Naruto responded, I'm staying in Uzumaki. I'm not taking my father's name. We've decided to remain an Uzumaki clan, and I've already discussed it with Ka-san, my sisters, and my wife. Kushina, Sveta, Miko, and Naruko nodded. Without the CRA, rebuild the clan the way we want it. It seems you aren't claiming your father, then, said Sarutobi, nodding. They all shook their heads. Miko answered, we won't give them the satisfaction of knowing that there are 3 with Namikaze blood in the village because the village spit on his last words. Additionally, everything he owned would belong to the Uzumaki clan if he passed away without an heir. What was his is already ours, since we are the only remaining Uzumaki, Kushina said. Are you aware of his whereabouts? Sarutobi said. Kushina held out a scroll and said, of course. Once the seal completed its task, the Shinigami gave it to me on the way back. That is to say, Minato has a soul lock on him and is no longer inside the Shinigami's stomach. He will be fully reborn and independent of the person who brought him back if someone is able to bring him back to life. Really? What if this occurs? Sarutobi said. Kushina laughed. If he wants us, he'll have to change his name from Namikaze to Uzumaki. For some reason, I think he'd take that offer. Alex thought about it. Naruto retorted, we have agreed that he probably would, but the Namikaze aren't going to be around anymore. Even our dad wouldn't alter that. Despite Hinata's disapproval, they all nodded resolutely. Why do that to your own father, Naruto? I understand that you are upset that we made this decision, but the Namikaze clan name is actually registered as a Konohagakure clan and is therefore qualified for the CRA, Hinata said. The clan of Uzumaki isn't. It wasn't. It was registered under Uzushiogakure, an allied nation. Therefore, the council might still attempt to compel us to join the CRA if we adopted the Namikaze clan name. When Sasuke turns 16, they can do it to him. We're 20 years old already. They could still impose it if we claimed our father. As refugees from the Uzumaki clan, we will remain in Konoha as is. An Uzumaki survivor was taken in by the village. She has authority over the council over the survivor's children. Stated differently, we abandoned the Namikaze claim because the council is incapable of doing anything. After figuring it out, Sarutobi nodded and said, I would agree with you because I know you wouldn't like it. You are dismissed with 3 days off, Team 7 and Team 13. Both Alex and Hinata will require an apartment. No, they don't. Since Hinata was expelled from the Hyuga clan, they are staying with us. Sasuke can do the same, Sveta said. If they so choose, any adepts, including Sakura and Kakashi, are welcome to remain with us. With a nod, Sasuke said, I'm in. Sakura nodded as well, saying, I agree. Now that I understand why, I also realize how absurd my mother's hatred of Naruto is. Wouldn't he have killed us all years ago if he were the Kyuubi, after all? She inquired. Everyone nodded when they understood the point. Sakura, you're welcome to join us. With a few pale looks, Naruto said, just know that the team is going to go through my training regime still. Honestly, I still need to work on level 45. Additionally, I have gravity seals at 15x, weight seals that add 1,000 pounds in 5 places, and resistance seals that are maxed out at level 30. Before I advance a level, I want to increase the weight seals to 2,000. With everyone staring at Kakashi, he said, Naruto, what would happen if you let them go? After giving it some thought, Naruto said, I intend to finish my training regime at level 50. The weight seals aren't maxed out, but the resistance and gravity seals are. I believe I'll live without any seals at all once I've reached level 50 and all of them are maxed out. Eliminating them all at this time would be similar to my use of Beast Form P synergy, minus the form change. And you've witnessed my abilities in that regard. When Kushina and Sveta smiled a little, they all stopped being wide-eyed. Kushina then said, I don't think I've asked this yet, but have you read any of the Icha volumes? Ka.san, I had Miko get me signed limited edition, collector's cover, hardback copy of each volume to date, meaning 1.17, Naruto said, glancing at her. Does that answer your query? As if unfazed, Naruto went on, but really, it's not a bad thing. Kushina gave him a menacing look. Honestly, I would blame Enko for it. Ask Sveta about my interactions with her on the wedding night. I was fully aware of everything at the time, and I pulled from volumes 2 through 9, 12, 16, and 17. To be honest, they would be addictive to virgins and lesser men. Even though I was a virgin when I first started, I was by no means a lesser man. He used air quotes for the age, so the others meant the official age, not the actual age. If that were the case, I would have destroyed the village with a fully powered Supreme Jupiter cannon when I was 10. Enko gave Kushina a scared look. Kushina, She waved her away and said, don't worry about it, Enko. He's 20, a shinobi, and the savior of a world. I don't really mind it anymore. I'm just miffed it wasn't me that put him through the birds and the bees. Naruto acknowledged, believe it or not, Volchek did that. He did it my first trip, too. It was actually when I was 11, right after the time we managed to make Bilibin surrender through pranks alone. I think we'll need to wrap this up quickly. I still need to go through the reports. You're dismissed, but expect a summons for the council. There's still your disappearance, and the council won't stand for that. Then there's Hinata, which hasn't been resolved yet, along with Sasuke, and what they will want done to Naruto, which I will probably have to block. After giving a nod, everyone went their separate ways. Alex, Kakashi, and Hinata warped out. While Naruto, Naruko, Miko, and Sveta vanished in a lightning strike, Kushina employed a swirl of water and ice crystals as a shunshin. Sasuke used a spiral of flames to accomplish this. Yes, Sakura did. By sinking into the earth, and her existence was gone forever. Ichiraku, Iruka, and Anko all whistled. According to Anko, that's rad. Iruka's face was smiling. Naruto. You've matured. Much more than I had anticipated, but logic never depressed you for very long. He departed in a shunshin. The Ichirakus exchanged glances before leaving with grins on their faces. With a sigh, Sarutobi unfolded the first report, which was Kakashi's. He had a long night ahead of him. A few months have passed since the return of teams 7 and 13. In Training Ground 44, Kushina, Kakashi, and Anko had been training with Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Miko, Naruko, and Sveta. Both teams were aware that the Chunin exams were just a week away. Well, let's see how Hinata is doing, shall we? With Hinata. Alex and Hinata were making their way to the Hyuga estate. Her refusal to remain at the estate, where the heiress should be, apparently caused the elders to have a fit. At the front gate, Alex and Hinata nodded to the two guards, who allowed them to pass. Alex was not even perplexed by the twisting hallways they passed through. The Mercury Lighthouse was actually more complicated than it seemed. They noticed Alex when they arrived at the Hyuga Council chambers. One of the more senior members insisted, "The outsider cannot be here. He must leave the compound at once." "As I have been teaching her, I feel it prudent that I be there for my student," Alex replied. "If what you say is important enough to affect her training in any way, then my presence would, in fact, be necessary." Hinata's surrogate father, Heishi Hyuga, was also present, and they both knew he was grinning. The council seems under the impression that Hinata has not been training according to clan customs. "That depends on which clan you are talking about, as she has ties to 2 clans, Alex replied. As one of the old prunes snorted, she could not be the heiress if she had another faulty clan within her blood. After shaking his head, Alex turned to face Heishi. "You did not tell them?" Heishi caught everyone's attention. They did not need to know. "Heishi, you will tell us this instant." Heishi responded with a snort. When Heishi was clan head, it was no contest. "If you think me a figurehead, then stand up and defeat me in an all-out spar." Both mentally and in terms of Juken, he was the most formidable fighter. Naturally, the man stopped talking and then glared at Hinata, who didn't even bat an eyelid like she used to. "Girl, we have reports of you learning ninjutsu from outside the clan techniques, thus ignoring the clan customs." In response, Hinata shook her head. "I know neither ninjutsu, nor genjutsu, aside from what is a part of the Juken." Although no energy flow was visible, the elders concealed their smirks and a particular kind of genjutsu seal was activated, demonstrating her use of P synergy. "This is proof you have gone against customs." According to Hinata, no, it is not. As a rule, ninjutsu and genjutsu use chakra. What I used for that was not chakra in the slightest. Foolish. I have access to another source of energy that has nothing to do with chakra. It is why I am based in 2 clans, instead of 1. Very few of the Mercury clan is blood-related. Hinata went on. In fact, in this village, there is currently 4 of the Mercury clan. 2 of those 4 have no connection to one another. "It is ninjutsu, you stupid girl," almost yelled one of the elders. To put it briefly, they were becoming irate. "Then turn on your Byakugan, and watch me use it here and now." She offered a challenge. Except for Heishi, who shook his head, they all sneered. 3 of the elders were frozen to their necks at that moment. "Watch my chakra network, and you will see." Additionally, they had not noticed any indication that her chakra was changing as it ought to have. "I believe the lack of activity from my chakra network proves that I did that without chakra." "They didn't have a counter this time. Then how did you get this energy?" Hinata said, "My father." Alex gave her a stern look. Heishi. The elder gave him a fierce look. "I do not have that ability." With the exception of the frozen 3, they were ready to attack when Alex cleared his throat. He smirked savagely as he asked, "Did I forget to mention that Hinata Hyuga is my daughter?" Everyone paused at this. Heishi gave a nod. "You did indeed forget that part, Alex." Heishi. "I have known of his connection to Hinata ever since she returned from her missing episode," Heishi said quietly. "The blood tests have been done. Her parents by birth are Hikari Hyuga, my late wife, and Alex here. Alex is of the Mercury clan, and thus is able to use an energy not compliant with chakra. It is separate, based more from the mind than the body. That is the extent as to what I know." "A separate bloodline, then?" had asked one of the younger elders. Alex informed them, "No, what I have is no bloodline. In theory, anyone can use it. However, the older you are when you start, the less chance you have at mastering it. When one or both parents can access this energy, it is natural for the child to be able to tell when one is using it." Hinata said, "There is more, though. Based on knowledge of element-based bloodlines and how they were formed, some of them aren't even bloodlines at all. The Hyouden bloodline, for example, is not a bloodline, but rather Mercury element P synergy, which I have. One who can use P synergy is called an Adept. At the moment, only 4 Mercury Adepts are in the village, 2 of which are in this room. And for the record, that ice you 3 are covered in has held back the Red Death Kushina Uzumaki in the same position you're in now. Chakra will not disperse it." Heishi inquired, "How many of these adepts are in the village?" Hinata struck a contemplative pose. "To my knowledge, there are 11 adepts in the village, all living under the same roof, myself and Alex included." Heishi glanced at her. "You stay there because they are adepts as well?" She pointed to the furious elders and said, "That, and I trust them more than I trust those guys." Then, just like with the first three, she froze them. "Seriously, they're more like me than most would think." All five Uzumaki. Kakashi Hitaki, the last loyal Uchiha. Sakura Haruno, or Screaming Banshee if you prefer. Hikumamochi, Alex and myself. We're all adepts. How is P synergy learned? Believe it or not, it's much harder to learn than chakra. However, once you understand it, like chakra, it'll become increasingly easier to use it. For one not born with the ability, it could take a good 30 years to train yourself enough to use it. This is actually a proven fact. One who had never heard of P synergy before surviving a storm on a boat, was taught how to use P synergy before some flood came in and washed the place out. It took him 30 years to be called decent, and he could never truly be called a master, even after living for over 150 years. Alex said, "Ah, yes. Bobby was a shrewd one. Still, for someone that started so late, I was surprised he could use P synergy at all." Hinata replied with a nod. "Still, I am grateful for Naruto teaching me beast form P synergy. It was really helpful in the long run." In all honesty, Hinata, I'm only slightly surprised he could have used it at all himself. I believe Kurama had given him the actual form. I wouldn't be surprised at that. Then again, when it comes to the insane and impossible tasks, count on him to pull it off. He's better at that than he is at Jupiter P synergy, and we both know he's widely known as the second best Jupiter adept of all time, second only to Ivan, replied Hinata. Alex shot back, "I think he's superior to Ivan. To everyone in Weird, he is known as the second best Jupiter adept, but in my eyes, he is the absolute best Jupiter adept I've ever seen. In terms of P synergy alone, he is better and more understanding than I. If he had access to Venus, Mars, and Mercury P synergy, I'd say he'd be the ultimate adept. Even though he can't use them, he still understands them to the point that, if he had the ability to learn the slightest bit, he'd be able to master it all. Same with Luna and Sol." Hinata gave a shrug. "Never met the guy, so I have no opinion. Although, when we ran into Shiba, she stated that he was better than her, knocking her down to third best. I have. Ivan, at his best, could match me, but he'd need help. Naruto, on the other hand, doesn't. No clones, no beast form, no ninjutsu or genjutsu. Just taijutsu, and P synergy. I sparred with him 2 months after I left you with Mia for the healing P synergy. That spar lasted 6 hours, and he matched me blow for blow. Ivan would never be able to do that. He takes a more supportive role, but Naruto is obviously tied with him there. He is the best Jupiter adept, because, unlike other adepts, he is omnipotent in his P synergy branch. It doesn't matter what class it's used in. If it falls under Jupiter P synergy, he has mastered it. He never limited himself to a single class." Hinata acknowledged, "I'm not surprised at that. Even if he prefers his dark knuckles, he's still got that Jupiter blade in case he needs it." Alex gave a shrug. He then assumed a contemplative stance and said, "True enough, but at least he makes sure he doesn't dull. Ivan has enough problems running Kalei with his wife. Although, I do wonder why he never married Shiba. Karis is their daughter." Ignoring Hiyashi and the council, Hinata hummed. "Shiba is too free-spirited. She's a lot more like Naruto than is healthy, not that I'm complaining. She doesn't like to stay in one place for too long, but Ivan has a country to run. He can't travel anymore, especially after Hammett died. Unless it's to check on the Jupiter lighthouse, he won't leave Kalei, which is sad." "I'm aware. Surprisingly, he was the second most understanding of my reasons for doing what I did. Mia had already forgiven you when I was finished training with her. That's two I know of. Who was the most understanding?" Alex's voice showed a hint of surprise, as though he didn't believe it himself, as he said, "Oddly enough. It was Garrett. Hothead he may be, he is far more understanding. And a lot smarter than most would think. He may not be able to apply subtlety to save his life, but he knows when someone else has a different purpose than what others believe, and also knew that the others wouldn't have believed him if he told them. So he didn't." Hinata answered, "Huh. Can't say I didn't see that coming. The ones seen as idiots tend to be the smartest. The ones that are ignored the most are often the most observant." Rules of Life, page 331. Alex remarked, "I thought it was on page 332. Hinata gave a shrug. "Does it really matter?" "No, it really doesn't." After exchanging glances, they both shrugged. The others were still there, they realized then. Hinata saw the glares the frozen elders were giving her and said, "Sorry, we talk a lot more than we'd like." The ice shattered and disintegrated into particles in the air as she waved her hand, shrugged, and blinked. Almost forgot about all of you. Long story short, I'm a Mercury Adept. I'm not teaching anyone from the clan unless they follow 2 conditions before, during, and after I do so. She gestured with her finger. Heishi was intrigued and gave the elders a stern look so they wouldn't interrupt him. Number 1. Lose what I call the weaknesses of the Hyuga clan. First off, the clan has become arrogant. So much so, they don't branch out. In fact, they punish anyone that does just that. Second, the Hyuga pride, which I actually ignore. I'm not above asking for help when I don't know something. If you're not willing to throw your pride away, then it's a no-go. The third, and what I believe is most important of the weaknesses, is that you're stuck on a name and political power. It doesn't mean anything in the real world, or on the field of battle. She let out a sigh. Condition number 2. Even if I do agree to train you, there is the possibility I can't do anything past the basics. The reason being, unlike chakra, P synergy is not as versatile or adaptable. Since I'm a Mercury Adept, I can't teach anyone from Venus, Mars, or Jupiter. Much less Luna or Sol adepts. I barely know anything about the last 2, at that. To my knowledge, there is only one Sol adept alive, and he's in the village. If this is the case, and I can't teach you everything, you'd have to be willing to learn from the one that has the knowledge of what you'd need. For Venus, Sakura Haruno is your best bet. For Mars, it's Sasuke Uchiha. Jupiter is Naruto Uzumaki, no contest. As for Mercury, I can teach you just about anything you'll need to know. Like Naruto, I had become an omnipotent Mercury Adept. I can do offense, but I prefer healing. If you're not willing to learn from the ones that could teach you the most, then I won't bother. Heishi gave a nod. How do you know which branch you were in? My chakra affinities adapted to my P synergy, giving me water and ice affinities. High-level wind and lightning affinities, such as Naruto, are perfect for Jupiter adepts. Sakura, being a Venus, started with an earth affinity, but with P synergy, she seems to have gained water as well, and possibly gained Mokuton, but I couldn't tell you for sure. Sasuke has fire and lightning, but he's a Mars. Fire is really the only thing you need for it. It's probably also why it's easier to start out young. It's the same as chakra, it'll adapt to you. Unlike chakra, which is normally based on your personality, P synergy is based on your mind. Using them both tends to bring a balance to the mind and body. In other words, your branch would reflect on a combination of your chakra elements and how your mind works. A few of the younger ones, including her younger sister Hanabi and her cousin Neji, were eventually selected by the Hyuga elders. 2 days later, it was discovered that Hanabi was not one of the 4 main Mars adepts, but Neji was. She was able to access P synergy already, but what was it? Wasn't Kakashi or one of the 4 mains. He knew she wasn't a Sol adept because he had sensed it. Hanabi was essentially on his own on the Luna adept that was left. However, she had informed Naruto of this when he returned from his subsequent C rank to Takikakure, and he nodded, confusing her by telling her where to send Hanabi the following day. This is where we go on from here, with Naruto. In Training Ground 24, Naruto was feeling his surroundings while meditating beneath a tree. He had just returned, had 3 days off, and left a note for Sveta and his family before dawn. He only recognized Hinata, one of the 2 individuals who had just entered the training ground, so, Hanabi is the other one. The fact that Hanabi was a Luna adept had struck him as ironic. Sveta was the only one who understood how he knew what to do. The only person with business to know was her. With the moon still high in the sky, he opened his eyes and gazed at the 2. Hinata was the first to speak. Though not particularly exhausted, Hinata questioned, Naruto, why did you have us here so early? And where is the person you said could help her? Naruto gave them both a smile. The young girl, who was also exhausted, nodded and said, so, you're Hanabi. He held out his hand and said, good, I'll make this simple then. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I have a friend that can easily teach everything there is to know about Luna P synergy. Naruto, I know there isn't a Luna adept in the village, so how do you plan to get them here? Replied Hinata. Naruto gave a headshake. He looked at her and said, I'm not. I'd have to take her to him. The Shadow Army has calmed down and accepted me as their leader. They're the original users of Luna P synergy, not the Luna adepts. I can't summon them in sunlight, but I can summon them in moonlight and darkness. I can also bring her to them, but it'll be a while before she can come back. I hope she has at least a week off of anything else. Otherwise, she'll miss it. They're willing to teach her the first tier of anything they know, but nothing above that, as she's too young. I hope she's able to draw on it. Hinata gave a nod. She can. Wondering, how am I going to get there? Hanabi inquired. Naruto indicated his hand. Grab my hand, and I'll take you there. But, Naruto, how does that work? Naruto gave Hinata a look. You think I just summon them, and expect them to respect me? I'm not that kind of person. I talk to them sometimes, but to go there physically, it either needs to be night, or an eclipse. Being their leader, I have access to it as well, but only recently have I learned anything new. I'm still a novice in their ways, to be honest. So really, this is a double purpose for me. Then he turned to face Hanabi, who had not yet grasped his hand. Hanabi, if you wish to learn, you'll need to see the masters. As I said, I'm only a novice in the ways of Luna. I can't teach you much, if anything. As the moon shone on them both, Hanabi first glanced at Naruto's eyes and then at his hand. She took hold of it, and the two became completely black, disappearing as though they had turned into shadows. Without seeing them, Hinata blinked and turned on her Byakugan. In order to inform her father that Hanabi was with the trainer, she returned home. Sveta knew where Naruto was, but she hadn't even seen him during the 3 days he was off. At the conclusion of the 3 days, he returned knowing that Hanabi was at peace with the Shadow Army. And he and Sveta had been at it for a long time when he finally did. Fortunately, there was no sound or smell emanating from the room they were in because the privacy seals were in effect. It was 8:30 in the morning when they had returned to the spacious main hall. With the exception of Sveta and Naruto, Team 7 and Team 13 had been waiting for her for some time. They knew right away why she was late when she descended with Naruto following. It wasn't made any easier by her slight limp. As they sat down in their teams, everyone in the group stared at them. Kushina gave her a look. How long? Her voice was still a little hoarse, but she sounded as though she was still feeling the afterglow as she answered, 5 hours at least. After giving Naruto the thumbs up, Kakashi was glared at by Kushina. What? He's 20 years old, and even I can't go that long. With a serious expression, Kushina shot back, that's because you're still a needle. Dick, Kakashi. You couldn't get a girl if you tried. I'm with Ka.San here. With what you read, you may have ideas, but unless you find someone like Anko and Naruko, who actually likes that kind of stuff, you won't be able to use them, said Naruto. Anyway, there's a Chunin meeting today, so for now, you're all free. Kushina and I have to go to said meeting. Kakashi clarified. And it's a good thing too. My team gets an extra day off. Kushina gave him a fierce look, and that's good why. Well, all things considered, I have an idea as to what it's about, and if it is, I know what I'd say to it. Same with you. Naruto gave a nod. Kakashi glanced at Naruto and nodded, saying, Chunin exams, I'd wager. It's about that time, I believe. It would come around in the next month, so I wouldn't really be surprised if that were the case. Miko gave Kushina a look. Where are they being held? She answered, here, apparently. Thing is, how many of you would take it if that's the case? Because Hinata wasn't present, everyone put up their hands. Alex leaned against the adjacent wall and watched. Everyone stared at him and said, if that is the case, I believe something may happen. Alex? Inquired Kushina. Though she mostly kept it to herself, she had come to like the Mercury Adept. I had recently heard word of a plan including Otogakure from the north to happen during the Chunin exams. The Hokage knows what I already know, and I'm going back to see if there's anything else I can find today. Which reminds me. Alex presented Naruto with an envelope. This is for you. Upon examining the return address, Naruto saw the code. When he opened it, the letter was there. Naruto, although a long time has passed, I'm already aware of what transpired with Team 7. In summary, if what your sensei tells me is accurate, your mother is aware of my identity and I am your godfather. I apologize for missing it, but I had work to do. After all, I am the spy master of the village. However, I'm away for another reason. When you were born, I made a deal with the Sandaime Hokage, my sensei. I would handle the external threats, and he would protect you from the internal ones. I've also been conducting other kinds of research while I was out here, and I'll send you a portion of the money I make. Since the day you were born, things have been that way, and I have never missed a check. I've never understood the peace synergy thing, so I'm not sure what it is, but based on what I do know, I've discovered a few other people who may also be adepts. According to what I've learned, 2 Iwa teams are arriving, and one of them may have an adept on board. They are genin and possess strong earth ninjutsu without the need for hand signs. Another one is on its way from Kumogakure. I am aware of her name, and I must say that she is a sight to behold. At that, Naruto's eye twitched. Black Bolt, Karui, is her name. Although she isn't very good elsewhere, she can use wind and lightning to levels comparable to the Raikage. Since the Bloodline Wars ended roughly 2 months ago, there is another in Kiri. Only 3 months into its service, this one has already proven capable of handling a rank shinobi. I don't even know the name of this guy, but he's frequently spotted with a girl named Noel. I know it's a strange name, but that's all I can really tell you. Naruto squinted his eyes. That's all I currently know about potential adepts, but I'm sending this now because of something else. 3 Jinchuriki, Hanabi, Ichibi, and Nibi are already preparing for the next Chunin exams. Nibi is Kumo, Hanabi is Taki, and Ichibi is Suna. There is more to this, and you are part of it. An organization called Akatsuki exists. Though he never gave an explanation, Sensei claims that you can be trusted with this information because you would likely be able to determine what they're really after more quickly than anyone else. The Biju are their target. I have no idea why, but I do know that they have a major project in the works. You would be foolish to believe that they aren't pursuing something significant given that they have 9 S-rank missing nins, and I doubt the Biju are the end of it. It's a gut feeling without any evidence. I'm hoping you can solve that. At some point during the second exam, I will return. I made sure you were safe from outside threats, but I can only hope you will forgive me for not being there for you. Sage Toad P.S. Please have Kushina read this message as well, if she is still living. If she didn't ask why I wasn't there, she would probably kill me. Naruto let out a sigh. He held it out, and she accepted it before reading it, raising an eyebrow, and giving Naruto a questioning glance. That figures. Ka-san? She asked. She said, any idea what this, bigger, thing is? Naruto gave a nod. Kurama told me about it. As a Biju, I'd have to know about it anyway. For that reason, I'd say the Akatsuki would be more dangerous than the Tuaparang, Morgul, and the warriors of Vale combined. Sveta questioned, wait, what could make them so dangerous? Naruto raised his head. They were stunned into silence when they heard, they're after Omega. I need an isolated area if I'm going to let him know. I can't exactly go up to the moon and say, hey, some power. Hungry fools are attempting to bring you back to life. This must be done correctly, and the only practical way to do so at the moment is to inform him using the Jinni method. After giving it some thought, Kushina nodded. The others nodded in agreement. You're right, we'll have to let him know, so he can prepare. All right, since I've been out with the Shadow Army, thus why I came back last night, I need to get back to my physical training. I've been slacking slightly, acknowledged Naruto. I'll be in the training yard. Sasuke, Sakura, you coming? After nodding, they both stood up, and the 3 of them entered a large greenhouse that resembled a dome through a sliding glass door, better known as a biosphere. In order to get over her limp, Sveta, Naruko, and Miko made the decision to take a stroll around the town. In roughly 10 minutes, the Junin meeting began, so Kakashi and Kushina used peace synergy to warp out. The office of the Hokage Kurenai Yuhi, Kakashi Hitaki, and Kushina Uzumaki were the 3 Junin that were currently absent when Hiruzen Sarutobi looked at the group. When Kushina returned, the council was terrified. Additionally, they ceased pursuing Naruto and didn't even bother Miko or Naruko. The majority of them were there when Kurenai entered. To the surprise of all 3 Chunin and the majority of the Junin, Kakashi and Kushina twisted 10 minutes before the scheduled start of the meeting. When Iruka saw this, she grinned a little. Sarutobi gave a nod. Kushina, Kakashi, Kurenai, and Asuma Sarutobi took the stage and said, as everyone is here early, we can begin early. This meeting has been called because of the Chunin exams. The first portion is to begin in a week, here. Before I continue, rookie teams, move forward, please. Do you have any recommendations? Kakashi started. I, Kakashi Hitaki, am the leader of Team 7, consisting of Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno. I vow that all 3 of them are more than ready for the Chunin exams. Kurenai went on. I, Kurenai Yuhi, am the leader of Team 8, consisting of Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inazuka, and Shino Aburame. I vow that all 3 of them are ready for the Chunin exams. Then Asuma left. I am Asuma Sarutobi, leader of Squad 10. My squad consists of Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Shoji Akamichi. I vow that all 3 of them are ready for the Chunin exams. I am Kushina Uzumaki, leader of Squad 13, consisting of Sveta Uzumaki, Naruko Uzumaki, and Miko Uzumaki. I vow all 3 of them to be more than ready for the Chunin exams. Confusion resulted from this. A lone Chunin raised his voice. This is for the Chunin exams. A number of people laughed. Kushina, however, was unfazed. I know that. They have to make Chunin before they make Junin, but as it stands, I'd recommend them for Anbu if they could at the moment. They certainly could pull it off, and then some. For now, Chunin exams will have to do, so yes, I'm nominating them. As the Junin retreated, the snickers grew louder. Hokage. Sama, do you mind if I speak with you after the meeting? Haruka responded. Sarutobi gave a nod. Then Kushina spoke. I also have something I need to speak to you about concerning my son. Sarutobi gave a nod. All right, anyone else? With Sveta. A box with eye holes on it was pursuing Sveta and Miko as they were strolling down a street. They had escaped from other people, and Sveta sighed. Konohamaru, get out of there. You too, Udon, Moegi. Miko lifted the box before it could explode. The trio turned to gaze at Sveta. You know where the boss is? Sveta said, training at the house. The only reason I'm not there is because he wore me out last night. Okay. Hiruzen Sarutobi's grandson, Konohamaru Sarutobi, who was still enrolled in the academy, was initially taken aback by Sveta, initially assuming that she had been Naruto's pet when he first met her. Result. Monkey's face meets Umbra boots. He quickly passed it on after learning not to say that to her. After flying into his grandfather's right eye on the mountain, he spent a month in the hospital. Konohamaru exclaimed, so, you want to play ninja with us? Sveta grinned and shook her head. The three nodded and hurried away, saying, why not? I could use the light exercise. You have 10 minutes. The problem is that Sveta heard the child collide with another person as they rounded a corner. After narrowing her eyes and running in that direction, she discovered Konohamaru restrained by his collar. Put him down, Conquero. What if he finds out? This brat ran into me. Temari. I'm gonna teach him a lesson. As Miko also struck the alley, Sveta remarked, I'm afraid that's my job, Suna Nin. Conquero gave her a look. Then he growled, beastly. Ignoring her limp, she approached him and extended her hand. Give me the kid, and you won't be sent into the mountain face. Such a pretty thing like you. Huh? Sveta's eyes grew gloomy, but her head and ears suddenly soared upward. She did not hear a good sound. She smirked, closed her eyes, and activated spirit sense. Shukaku, get your host down here. Both Conquero and the blonde girl behind him tensed up. Konohamaru was already behind Sveta when a whirl of sand materialized. You? Mother fears you. Sveta squinted her eyes. They all turned to face the nearby wall when Naruto in his Umbra gear said, tell Shukaku that you're in my territory. You are 1, while I am 9. You are the host, while I was the heir. This village is my territory, Shukaku. You start any bullshit, you pay the price. You may be reborn, but having your body obliterated isn't fun, nor is it painless. Remember that while you're here. Naruto's face appeared serious. Naruto? Naruto noticed Konohamaru as he turned to face Sveta. Konohamaru, head to Gigi. Tell him the first of 9 has arrived. The 2nd and 7th are on their way, at that. Right, boss. Udon, Konohamaru, and Moegi sprinted away. Naruto gave the redhead a look. What's your name, host of Shukaku? The red-headed one answered, Gaara of the desert. I apologize for my siblings' behavior earlier. Naruto gave a nod. Make sure it doesn't happen again. Gaara gave a nod. He glanced at the two and said, in case you did not know, those two are Conquero and Temari. Baki. Sensei wants to see us. Get moving, now. The two fled after backing up. Then he looked back at Sveta, then back at Naruto. Why is mother afraid of this one? I figure you would know, Kyuubi. Sama. That, Gaara, is my mate. The only one I'm scared of. Shukaku has the right mind to be afraid of her. Replied Naruto. You touch her, screw the rules, you die on the spot. That goes for you as well, Shukaku. Now understanding the point, Gaara nodded, and the other? In response, Naruto said, same rules apply, sister. Will do. Gaara walked away after turning around. Those two, mother will not touch, nor will I. Naruto gave a nod. And the name is Naruto Uzumaki. Any with Uzumaki in their name is to be added to that list. Without even looking, Gaara answered, duly noted. Sveta gave Naruto a look. Done training? Naruto gave a nod. Yeah, not much backlash, but it's enough. So, anything new? To which Miko replied, not much, although I am slightly glad that Shukaku didn't do anything. Naruto said in a serious tone, he won't if he knows what's good for him. Curious now, Sveta said, Naruto, want to go see what Anko's doing? Naruto gave a headshake. Sorry, but she's busy preparing for the Chunin exams. I already asked. Same with Ibiki. Sveta gave a tongue. Click. Damn. Was hoping to bash a few heads, Miko. Sveta pouted as Miko cut her off, saying, don't even think about it. Naruto raised his head in the air. Hey Sveta, hit me with a blue bolt. Their eyes widened slightly as Sveta and Miko blinked at him before she followed his instructions and blasted it into his right hand before he charged it and sent it hurtling back into the sky. How? I can enhance lightning and Jupiter P synergy. I catch it, enhance it, and fire. Naruto clarified. I just figured out I could do that myself. Sveta gave a headshake. Any tips? Yeah, use chakra to grab it, then enhance it. Point and fire. It's a line of sight thing, though. Thought you should know. Naruto stated to her. Miko asked both of them, so, want to hit the hot springs? You'd probably need it. Both of them nodded. They didn't really care that it was co-ed bathing when they arrived. Along with Hinata and a male Hyuga, they had also discovered Sakura and Sasuke inside. With a sigh of satisfaction, the three entered. Hinata was asked by Naruto, so, who's the new guy? Naruto nodded as Hinata remarked, my cousin Neji, he's a Mars. Naruto looked at him and said, Naruto Uzumaki, Master Jupiter. Neji noted, I've heard a lot about you, not all of it good. Neji nodded as Naruto responded, anything relating me to a demon, feral beast, or mindless animal was started by a bigoted fool that is guided by hatred, and not true. What about that storm cannon in Wave Country decimating a bridge and causing a pair of tsunamis, neither of which hit Wave? Naruto declared, that was true. If it's impossible, count on me to get it done. If logic says, no way, I stand up and tell logic, fuck you. You don't dictate what I do. And besides, I fuck fate over any chance I get. Any tips? Yeah, never give up. If you need to, wear a mask. Trust me, it works. I shouldn't be 20 years old right now, and yet I am. My very existence defies fate. You can too, Naruto clarified. Neji tried to calm down by nodding. He calmed down considerably because of the mental benefits of his P synergy training. Sveta let out a sigh. Naruto. Naruto answered, this isn't business, honey. Remember, I'm off right now, and when I'm off, I'm either doing light training, or relaxing. This is relaxing. Sveta let out a sigh, I know. Any idea what the Chunin exams will be like? First round is headed by Ibiki Morino. Second round is by Anko Midarashi. Both are two of the top 5 interrogators in the village. Naruko is up there, as well. Miko said, yeah, she is. Number 4, I believe. Actually she bumped Inoichi Onna rank. She's number 3. Naruto replied. So, Neji, you going for the Chunin exams? If I am nominated, then yes. Well, Team 7, my team, is definitely going to be nominated. We've got the skill, and more experience than we should have. Same with Team 13. Said Naruto. We've actually been waiting for it, too. We kind of need the promotion. Neji gave a nod. I believe Guy Sensei will be nominating us for the next exams as well. I wonder if Kurenai Sensei will nominate us. I can probably make it, not sure about Kiba. I'm more worried about the Jinchuriki than the exams themselves. Said Naruto. There's 4 known Jinchuriki preparing. Already warned one of them, and he's from Suna. His name is Gaara, and if you have to fight him, go all out. If you know the supreme peace synergy of your branch, then use it. His seal, I can tell, it isn't stable. One look at him, and I knew. He was partially insane, along with being an insomniac. Be careful around him. When I see the other 2, then I'll pass the word around what to avoid. Each of them gave a nod. Enough with all the serious talk, time to relax. All of them simply allowed their muscles to soak in the water. After an hour or so, the majority of them departed, leaving Team 7 and 13 back at the house, where Kushina and Kakashi were waiting. Kushina gave them a look. All genin-ranked adepts in the village have been nominated. 6 applications were held up by Kakashi, who then threw them to the genin. There's the applications. Normally, I'd say it would be up to you to take the exams, but with your skills and experience I'd be disappointed if you didn't. The applications were caught by all of them. When? Kakashi clarified. The first part will begin at noon in 3 days. I'd wish you luck, but I doubt you'd need it. The 6 genin gave a nod. So, until then, no missions. Rest up, make sure you're ready for anything. People tend to die in these exams, Kushina said. Naruto's eyebrow went up. We've faced down the Tuaparang, the Shadow Army, stood on top of Omega, fought at the Apollo Lens, and faced down countless other enemies and Weird, yet you're worried we'd be killed? Kakashi gave a headshake. That's not my worry. I'm worried you'd obliterate everyone else. After all, you each have 10 jin. We also still have all the summons that we gained there, Sakura said. We're good. Kushina and Kakashi both nodded. Remember, everyone, Otogakure is not a good village to piss off if they're trying to invade, Kushina said. After nodding, the group retired to their beds. The following day, Naruto had split off from everyone else except Sveta and faced the Hanabi and Nibi Jinchuriki. Ironically, it was confirmed that the Nibi Jinchuriki was with Karui Black Bolt. At this precise moment, Naruto and Sveta were observing the Kumo Nin group and warning Nanabi Jinchuriki of the consequences of acting inappropriately. Knowing what it meant, she had agreed at once. The Nibi Jinchuriki had dark brown eyes and blonde hair. She was wearing purple pants with clouds on them and a black long-sleeved top. She had on fingerless gloves as well. Yugito Ni was her name. Black Bolt, Karui, was unique. She had amber eyes, darker skin than most Naruto had seen, and red hair that was darker than his mother's. She wore knee-high boots, fishnet stockings, and a battle dress that resembled a mountain. It resembled a bandana more than a headband. A third one was present, and although he appeared much older than the other two, Naruto was drawn to him as well. The three Kumo Nin turned to gaze at Sveta and Naruto. Who are you? Asked Yugito. The warning from Naruto was, watch it, Nekomata. You're in my territory. I was originally here to give you a warning about this, seeing as I had succeeded Kurama, but since I'm here, I might as well ask her a question. Naruto glanced at Karui. According to the older man, yo, what's the deal 9? Oh. Yuki, could you at least try to talk him out that? Naruto asked, turning to face the older man. Then he heard someone speaking. I've tried for 25 years, and this is as good as I can get him. But what's this about you succeeding Kurama? Naruto said, it's exactly as it sounds, Yuki. He then turned to face Karui, who was not listening. Karui Black Bolt, I can sense the power you have. It's one of the reasons I actually want to speak with you. The blazing woman's eyes narrowed. Oh yeah, you little shit? Yugito, Naruto, and the older man all sensed that she was about to use one of her P synergy moves. Naruto uttered a single word while raising a hand. Bind. To her surprise, Karui's jutsu vanished as soon as he did. As I said, I was interested in your abilities, as I share them. W. What? Naruto gave a nod. I can tell that you fall under the same branch I do. Wind and lightning. You can use it without hand signs, because, in case you didn't notice, it doesn't use chakra. Karui's gaze expanded. You know? Only Karui and Sveta could see the glow surrounding Naruto before 15 plasma bolts fell close by, each hitting a tree. That was Shine Plasma. A Tier 2. What you were about to use was Ray. A Tier 1. I'm a master in my branch, and you are still a novice. Karui's mouth fell open a little. Whoa. Naruto laughed. He turned to Yugito and said, to think that wasn't the best one I can use. So, why are you here? I doubt you'd be here for the Chunin exams. According to Yugito, actually, I am. They kept me a genin for far too long. I may have the skills of a Junin, but they would never let me advance in rank until this time, for some reason. Naruto gave a headshake. Such is the life of a Jinchuriki, I suppose. Yugito shot back, tell me something I don't know. Anyway, I've got nothing against the village, but what's Karui's abilities have to do with anything? And why did you say that they don't use chakra? Because they don't, and P synergy is not native to this world. I can give her some guidelines, but that's about it, as she belongs to another village. Acknowledged Naruto. I'm afraid that's all I can do at the moment, and I cannot ask you to betray your village just to learn how to use P synergy properly. To the Kumo Nin's surprise, Karui paused to think. Alright, I'll take you up on that. Just give me a written account on how it's really used, history, and the truth on the source, and any helpful tips. That should do, I guess. I've been able to figure both wind and lightning out pretty easily. I should be fine with that much. Naruto gave a nod. I know the Chunin exams is split into 3 parts. Make it past the second, and I'll give the information, and then some. If you don't make it that far, then it's a no-go. Deal? Karui gave a nod. Deal. A whirlwind and a few sparks formed around them as they shook on it. They smirked at one another as they drew their arms back, unfazed by the lightning or wind. See you then, Karui of the Jupiter clan. And you as well. Naruto Uzumaki. Heir to the Uzumaki clan, and elder of the Jupiter clan, master of Jupiter P synergy, your branch. Said Naruto. After exchanging glances, Naruto and Sveta departed like a lightning bolt. And the replacement of the Kyuubi no Yoko as the king of Biju. Good luck, Karui. Yugito, Karabi, remember my warning. Yugito and the man exchanged glances. Karabi, the man, said, I know, Yugito. The Hanabi Jinchuriki, Fu, had accepted the warning but had no plans other than to be promoted. He disliked humans in general, but he knew she was harmless thanks to spirit sense. She promised to support him and not her village in the event of an emergency. And now the first test day had arrived. As Team 7 and Team 13 entered the academy's hallways, they noticed a door marked 301 on the second floor. They concealed their size and saw through the genjutsu. They ignored the group and simply strolled by. Team 9, Neji's team, and a few other genin were the only ones who saw them, and they were perplexed because they failed to spot the genjutsu. Sasuke, who was no longer conceited, made no mention of it. They had arrived at the appropriate room as they continued forward. Kakashi had his back to the wall. Hello, teams. I'm here on behalf of Kushina as well. She wishes you all good luck, but we both know you don't need it. So instead, I'm going to tell you this. Give them hell. After nodding, both teams entered the room through the double doors, which revealed a spacious space filled with genin. A good 231 genin were present, according to Naruto's quick head count. Quite the number of applicants, Each team gave a nod. Sakura said, sure are. Sasuke.kun, a female half, screamed up at them. He looked at her with contempt as a blur of purple and blonde attempted to glomp him but failed as the blur passed through him. He shook his head, not at all pleased with her. Blonde banshee. Sakura touched the shoulder of Sasuke. Ignore her, she hasn't grown out of the fangirl phase. Naruko gave a nod. I saw as much over the past few months. Hey. A voice called out to them. Sveta detected a dog's scent. And a hybrid of dogs and humans. She knew it was an Inuzuka because it was less severe than Beastman. Naruto gave the newcomer a look. Kiba, it's been a while. The newcomer, Kiba, appeared to be a brown-haired, feral male wearing what appeared to be a parka. Kiba took several sniffs. Damn, Naruto. Growth spurt much. Naruto said, try hiding an incident when I was 8, how you been? With complete finality, Kiba said, pretty good, I'll admit. I'm not going to lose Hinata to you, though. Naruto looked directly into his eyes. You won't do, not at all. Hinata gave him a look. Naruto, what are talking about? Naruto gave her a look. He's mostly attuned to Mars. Bad combination. Hinata gave a headshake. I think I'd sooner go for Shino than Kiba. Kiba glanced at both of them. Wait, you two aren't together? Naruto questioned. What gave you that idea? I've got a wife, Kiba, and it's not Hinata. Wait, what? Kiba said, turning to face Naruto. Sakura finally accepted? Naruto nearly yelled, hell no, before turning to face Sveta as she approached them. She had her Umbra armor on. Sveta Uzumaki. Wife and eternal maid to Naruto Uzumaki. Kiba's eyes grew wide as he sniffed a few times. The hell is going on here? They heard Shikamaru say, troublesome. Naruto, you're giving troublesome a whole new meaning. The Nara nodded when Miko said, hey, Shika. Their attention was drawn to a new voice that said, I'd keep it quiet if I was you. Since this one had a snake. Like scent, all of the current adepts were now on guard. However, Naruto was able to learn something by using a spirit sense. Not good. Snake spy. From Konohagakure, he broadcast to all adepts. And who are you? Asked Kiba. The man pointed to the sizable crowd that was staring at them and said, my name is Kabuto Yakushi, and take a look behind you. Naruto turned to face Naruko, who gave him a sadistic smile. As Naruko stood up to Naruto and Sveta, Miko, Sasuke, and Sakura retreated a little. The others either wet their pants or flinched in terror as the three glared at the throng and unleashed a strong burst of killing intent. The only people who were unaffected were Yugito, Fu, Gaara, and one other. This, along with his Kirigakure headband, was noted by Naruto. The worst part was that Naruto was glaring at everyone behind him in an astral image of a nine-tailed fox demon. Behind Naruko was another. Behind Sveta was a big werewolf. Naruto's voice was harsh and icy as he said, this is our turf. Try something and die. With the exception of those who were unaffected, the entire group fled in terror. The three turned to face Kabuto, who was taken aback by the key's power and command. Nice. You three can't be rookies with a show like that. Naruto shot back, "We've just got too much bloodlust. Even still, we've only really been genin for about 8 months, at the most." Kabuto gave a headshake. "That's impressive." Then Kabuto revealed a deck of cards that he said were ninja info cards. "I've even got information on participants." Sasuke said, "Gaara of the desert." Kiba announced, "Naruto Uzumaki of Konoha. Light blue hair, yellow eyes from Kirigakure. Also has a sword that looks like it was made out of ice," Naruto said. Kabuto removed the top 2 cards and channeled chakra into one of them, saying, "The first 2 will be easy. Gaara first. His team consists of Temari and Conquero. He has 8 C-rank missions and 2 B-rank missions. Since he's from way out in the desert I have less on him, but it's said he's come out of each mission unscathed." Most of the rookies unconsciously shivered at this. As though he had anticipated it, Naruto just nodded. His stats were displayed when he charged chakra into the card that read, "Next up, Naruto Uzumaki of Konohagakure." Wow, he's got a lot of classified information on him. His team consists of Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. Sensei is Kakashi Hitaki. His mission record shows 78 D-rank missions, 3 C-rank missions, 2 B ranks, an A rank, and an S rank. "That's really far out there," Kabuto said. He glanced at Naruto in surprise before returning his attention to the card. "Most genin don't get B ranks, much less A and S ranks. I may not have any information on the S rank, or the B ranks, but it's obvious that he's a tough cookie, and very powerful. His ninjutsu level is above Kage. Taijutsu is even higher, genjutsu abilities are unknown, but he has a Zanbatsu, not known by name, or even what it can do, as he rarely uses it. Also an unofficial seal master. He also has access to an unknown ability called P Synergy, in which there is no public information, and I myself don't know much. As it turns out, his entire team can use this P Synergy, but I couldn't tell you much on that." When Naruto shook his head, everyone's eyes widened. Some of that information was declassified. "The Zanbatsu, I rarely use, to be honest. If I do, I'm out for blood. Fair warning." While inwardly freaking out, Kabuto nodded. "Our plans won't work with this kid. Additionally, I'm not sure if I can bring him." Naruto caught the thought and suppressed his smirk. Then Kabuto pulled out another card. His name is Piers. No known surname, but calls himself a Lemurian. His team are both adepts in Kenjutsu, but not that good elsewhere. Piers, for some reason, can't use chakra, but has a high affinity for water and ice. He also carries a total of 9 beings with him, that he calls Jin. His taijutsu levels are high, pushing Enbu level. His Kenjutsu is even higher. He is also immune to Genjutsu, and his blade is unknown to even the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. He also trains a woman named Noel, but anything else on him is unknown. It is also unknown how he can be unable to use chakra, yet can still use water and ice to the extent that he can. The genin who wasn't actually a shinobi caught Naruto's attention. He sent him a message using spirit sense. "Piers, I didn't think you'd come here." "Hey, so you're Naruto Uzumaki, eh? Looks like we ended up in the right place, after all." He caught the response. "I take it you wish to know why I'm here with Noel?" "I'd be a fool not to. I'm actually here to see the sights, Noel as well. We decided to pose as genin for Kiri, as they had just gotten out of a civil war. Figured I could help out," Piers responded. "Figures. Alex is here. I know. We've already seen each other. I know what he's done, and I don't blame him because of his reasons. It is why he came here. In fact, he seems better off here than in Weird." Naruto grinned slightly. "Good to know. Alex is on our side. You mess with him, you mess with us. Besides, my mother has grown some feelings for him. I believe you met her before." "Kushina, I presume?" "Of course. Those ninjutsu are just annoying for an adept. If it is possible to use P synergy like these shinobi use chakra, then I would like to learn how. Kirigakure is helping me in that regard. Honestly, I'd ask Alex for tips. He's become quite adept at it. He could give you a few pointers on that subject." "Same with my mother, and Hinata," said Naruto. A smoke bomb went off at that moment, and Ibiki Morino and a number of Chunin arrived. After saying, "All right maggots, listen up," the first test started. The adepts were far from one another. But Fu, the Hanabi Jinchuriki, was seated next to Naruto. "They put us here on purpose, didn't they?" she inquired. Naruto gave a shrug. "Doubt it. You're not a threat to the village at the moment, so, if anything, if the seats were fixed, I'd be sitting next to Gaara, who is unstable and number 1. I've already met numbers 2, and 8 aside from you two." Number 2 is near number 1. Gaara. 5 in one place is a sign of a large event, that's for sure, Fu responded. Naruto gave a nod. Be careful, Fu. A lot of crazy shit happens around here, and even more will happen soon. Try to make it to the finals. Fu gave a nod. I'll make sure of it. All right, pay attention. Ibiki had outlined the guidelines. In essence, you fail and receive a 0. You lose a point if you miss a question. You lose 2 points if you are caught cheating. Your team fails, and you fail. Presumably from his teammates, Naruto sensed someone staring at the back of his head. He made the decision to connect Team 7, Team 13, Hinata, and Neji via a synergetic telepathy link. Naruto said, "Hey guys, can you hear me?" over the link. He heard Sasuke say, "Yeah, we hear you." Hinata questioned, "Is this an area of effect telepathy?" "Similar, but no, it's like a chat room, but for a mental conversation." Naruto clarified. "Basically, we all can hear each other's thoughts right now, but I only added in the adepts in the room from Konoha." Naruto, I hope you're really more on brains than you showed in the academy. They saw Sakura. Naruto's gaze was fixed on the test before him. Sakura, I was learning this stuff when I was 9. You can thank Volchek for that. Besides, out of everyone, I know you could finish the problems with utmost ease. You wouldn't have to cheat, Sakura. They heard Neji say, "You're kidding me, right? These questions seem made for people higher than Chunin." Sasuke noted, "Yeah, they want us to cheat, Sakura?" Sakura said, "I'm already working on question 3. Additionally, the test had only lasted 5 minutes. Really? This is really too easy. Kurama gave me harder questions than this test. I bombed the tests in the academy because, 1. They were boring. 2. I was using the truth from someone that was there." Naruto clarified. "This test. Some of these points are from the Third Shinobi War, like question 7. And for the record, I just finished question 8. These are just plain simple." Sveta said, "I'm glad to hear that you received quality instruction." "Yeah, Kurama and Volchek worked together without realizing it. I owe them both. Now, I'm looking at number 10, and there's something off about it." Setting down his pencil, Naruto turned to face Ibiki. Naruko said, "Tell me something I don't know. I got the tip from Anko. Ibiki is a mind game master. Aptly named the mind surgeon in the TI division. He's the second most successful interrogator in the village, but he never touches his targets. He's behind me in sadism, but still pretty good." Miko said, "Coming from you, that says a lot." Hinata called out to them, "Focus, guys. We may know what's going on, but there's no reason to drop our guard. The grass nin beside me is giving Sasuke the pedo eye, not good." Sakura put down her pencil and said, "Well, I got all of my answers. Who's looking for them?" They were all disturbed before anyone could react. "Hello, Sakura. Thank you for sharing your answers with me." Everyone was aware of this person. They suddenly yelled in her head, "Ino Yamanaka leaves Sakura's mind at once." Which startled her. Sakura is forced out of her mind by the combined power of 7 adepts who are screaming into it and attacking her mentally while she is inside it. Sakura shook her head after regaining control. Ino just took a fool's route. "Sorry guys. So, who wants answers?" When they heard Ino say, "What the hell, Sakura?" their eyes all widened visibly. "How many personalities do you have?" "Ino?" inquired Naruto. "Wait, Naruto, how do you know telepathy?" To which Naruto replied, "Forget that. I guess when she tried to take over someone in the link, and we all forced her out, she took a part of the link for herself." Bewildered, Ino questioned, "Wait, what? What do you mean, link?" Long story short, Ino, we've got 8, now 9 people in this link. It's like a telepathic chat room. Naruto clarified. Another voice, which only Naruto recognized, said, "Make that 10. My name is Piers. I've been silent in this, though. That was pretty loud, I'll admit." "Wait, you're the unknown Kabuto mentioned?" "Yes, I heard that. Kabuto knows nothing of what I can do. In fact, the others in the chat, aside from Neji, would know who I really am, how powerful I truly am, and what I've done," said Piers. This one was only known to Naruto and Sveta. I would like to know that, as well. "My name is Karui." Naruto, it's good to know this is possible with P synergy. "Karui, how did you manage this?" She answered, "It took 3 attempts to get in, but I succeeded." They heard another woman say, "She's not the only one. My name is Kuritsuchi. Who is from where?" Karui said, "I'm from Kumo." I'm from a place known as Weird, but I am currently representing Kirigakure, Piers said. And the others? We're all from Konohagakure, aside from Sveta, who still represents Konoha. Kuretsuchi, am I right to assume you represent Iwagakure? Naruto inquired. You are. Which one are you? Naruto replied. I look like the yellow flash, in the third row. Kuretsuchi began. Oh, I have a teammate as well. A male voice said, I'm in. Yo, what's up adepts? Puzzled, Sveta said, wait, you know the terminology? Yeah. My father is actually named Felix. He's been staying in Iwagakure, and helped both me and Kuretsuchi, who by the way, is my girlfriend. The individual replied. Name's Daku. Kuretsuchi is a Mars, and I'm a Venus. Piers said, huh. It's been a while since I've seen Felix. I might visit one of these days. And who are you? I am Piers. We fought together during the Golden Sun incident. Ino questioned, Golden Sun? Naruto replied, another story, for another time, Ino. So, how powerful of an adept are you two? Kuretsuchi? Daku? Kuretsuchi acknowledged, Felix put me at a high level, but not master. I'm still a journeyman Venus adept. Hey, aside from Neji, all of us are masters in our respective branch. Even Sakura, who is a master Venus. I'm a master Jupiter, along with the second best Jupiter adept that's set foot in Weird. Officially. Sveta is put at 5th. Naruto clarified. I'm Naruko, and I'm 4th, Miko, and I'm 6th. We're all Jupiter adepts, and the best of the best. Ivan officially holds the top spot. Alex begs to differ, though. He says I'm better than he is. Shiba is below me at 3rd. She openly stated I was above her, and I just shrugged. Didn't really care about that, to be honest. Hinata raised her voice. Hinata Hyuga, I'm a Master Mercury adept. Alex is my father, at that. Sakura Haruno, Master Venus adept. Isik told me that part, and confirmed it. Sasuke Uchiha, Master Mars adept, courtesy of Garrett and Jenna. Neji Hyuga, still a novice, but a Mars adept. Kuretsuchi said, damn, guys. How did you get so good? Ino went on, that's what I want to know. Hey. We found our way to Weird. Our first C rank was investigating a peace synergy vortex, Naruto said. Then a synergetic hand struck Naruto. Peace synergy, slap it. Sakura, what was that for? You just reminded me that your idiocy is what brought that up in the first place. Didn't you know you could have died? Replied Sakura. Sakura, you heard it, as well as I did. That voice was Sveta, and like hell I was going to let that pass me by. I heard my fiancé, now wife, and knew where it came from. First mission out of the village, and I found a way back to her. It was stupid, bat. Shit insane, and borderline suicidal, but do you really think I cared about that? Confused, Karui asked, you knew all of that, but still went in? Sakura gave a noticeable blink. I can't counter that. Even though Sveta already knew, she asked, you risked death to get to me? Of course I did. Besides, you all know one of my titles in Weird, at least those in Konoha. Sveta said, the impossible Jupiter adept. If it's impossible, you'd get it done. Logic flies out the window, the moment you get involved. Sasuke continued. Sakura went on, fate tries to screw you over at every turn. And yet I don't really give a shit. Sveta, don't kill me for this, but I left fate hot and bothered on the way over to Weird. Got her up, and left. I call that payback, and Lady Luck, as she's called, laughed when she saw it, Naruto said. How far? Naruto replied, nowhere near as far as I go for you. Why? Inquired Hinata. Payback. She's been trying to screw over my mother's side of the family so much over the years, I decided to pay her back in full. In the link, nobody spoke. Sveta was the first to speak. They all let out a breath at once when she said, I'm fine with that. Sakura said, Naruto, you really cut that close. I was debating on whether to tell or not, but then I remembered, I didn't really care. That was payback for my family. Nothing more, nothing less. Sveta answered, and that's the only reason I'm not mad right now. In fact, in that situation, I'd have been surprised if you didn't do that. Thanks, Sveta. How did you manage to get them on your side, Naruto? He heard Ino say. Ino. When you've seen what we have, and done what we have, then you'll realize that when Naruto is involved, logic no longer matters. Sanity is at stake, if it's even there. Crazy situations follow, and he can guide us through it. When shit hits the fan, Naruto takes the lead, and we get out without any lasting injuries. Sakura clarified. Honestly, there's nothing that Naruto can't do, aside from use a second P synergy branch. Sakura, I've got 2 branches of P synergy. I'm a Master Jupiter Adept, sure. However, I'm still a novice in Luna P synergy. I can use it because of the Shadow Army. They've been teaching me, and I'm pretty good, but not good enough to use it constantly. I can't use a 3rd branch, though. Hey Naruto, could you get me number 3? I skipped that one, Naruko responded. Sure. Naruto explained the solution and where to look for it. More out of confusion than genuine desire, Ino said, any chance you could give me the answers, Sakura? You going to do this for Choji and Shikamaru? Sakura inquired after observing Shikamaru's head lowering. Naruto said, take Shikamaru out, he just finished. Confused, Ino said, well, that was the original plan. Wait, why am I asking? Naruto told her the answers and where to look for them, and Ino wrote them down. I've got it. Already, Ino. Listen up. Sakura, you got the same I did, right? Actually, I went into more steps for some of them, but the end result was the same, said Sakura. And you were the smartest kunoichi of our class. Sasuke.kun, what really happened with your team? Ino responded. Naruto is the best in our class, not me, and you have no chance with me, besides, I'm already taken. Sakura said, wait, when was this? Ino said, yeah, who did we lose to? Naruto sounded like he was pleading, saying, Miko, please tell me that what you were hiding from even ME is not that. Miko was unable to finish because he was too hesitant, well. For her, Naruko did it. Yup, it's her. I've known the entire time. Naruko, exclaimed Miko, feeling ashamed. Damn, Miko, when were you gonna tell us? Sasuke said, we agreed that when we were both Chunin in rank, and Naruto, if you tell your mother, I'll fire a Ryuka no Jutsu at your balls. He issued a warning. As Naruto put it, I don't have to. To the Chunin Proctor's perplexity, this voice made Sasuke and Miko freeze and visibly stiffen. He's right, Sasuke. Kushina was the one. Miko said, I'm in trouble, aren't I? Kushina acknowledged, oh no, not really. Kakashi.kun and I already knew. The sound of Kakashi's voice was, she's right, we did. After all I followed you on your last date. Sasuke was now anxious. Kushina, he said. How far? Inquired Kushina. Naruko said, just swapping spit. Naruko. The blush on Miko's face was visible to everyone observing the two. Kushina said, Sasuke.kun. We'll be talking after the second portion. Ibiki interrupted before anyone else could say anything. Alright. Pencils down. New rules for the 10th question. The rules were. You had the option of responding to the question. You won't be able to become a Chunin again if you decide to do so and make a mistake. If you decide not to take it, you fail and receive an automatic 0. Now choose. One by one, people departed. Along with Naruko, Naruto assisted by using killing intent to blast those who were unsure. After 10 minutes of this, the room still contained a good 81 genin. The adepts were all simply let down. Naruto questioned, you guys think this'll be enough? Naruko noted, Anko will be pissed. Do it. Naruto gave a headshake. To think we had so many cowards in the room. You see you're in a no-win situation, and you turn tail. If a mission is suicidal, would you turn tail and run then? If you have any doubts right now, then I'd suggest you get out, right here, right now. You're not even worth the title of shinobi. Grow a backbone. We're shinobi. Act like it. Others were halted by this, as they understood his meaning. Ibiki glanced around and noticed that everyone who had previously harbored doubts now had a determined expression. Ibiki thought, damn Brad is going to piss off Anko. There is a brief silence before saying, well then, it is my duty to inform you. You all pass. 3, 2, 1. With the exception of the adepts and Jinchuriki, the audience let out a WTF. In summary, the purpose of the first 9 questions was to gather information. According to Naruto, the 10th question tested your faith in your leader and was a no-win scenario. Good luck with the next portion. A banner and a purple-haired kunoichi, Anko Midarashi, appeared in the window as a black ball of fabric entered the room. I'm the proctor for the second exam. Training ground 44, follow me. Sakura was traveling through a forest with Naruto and Sasuke. The forest of death, more precisely. Within 5 minutes of the second phase starting, Team 7 and Team 13 had already convened since they had decided to collaborate in order to locate 2 sets. Therefore, rather than running alongside the trees, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Sveta, Naruko, and Miko were running along the forest floor. After half an hour, they heard someone scream. They were all thinking the same thing. One team out. There were 27 teams because 81 genin made it. However, the forest was currently a free dot for dot all. Before long, the two teams encountered a Kirigakure team and an Omegakure team. There was no need to wait because Piers was not present. They had each taken one opponent. Akiri Nin was instantly killed when Naruko cut him in half. In addition to cutting an AIM Nin in half, Miko charged wind wrapped her arm. Naruto bisected another Kiri Nin with his Jupiter blade. Sasuke killed the third Kiri Nin by roasting her alive. Sveta had caused a dark purple beam to pierce an AIM Nin. That beam decimated the heart and both lungs. After all of this, the final AIM Nin understood that they had the advantage over both teams and that he had no chance. He was pierced by wild growth vines before he could take any action. He was the only one who managed to spread the word before he passed away. Fuck. Their scrolls were opposites. With their scrolls in hand, both teams turned to face one another in a circle. What do you say we eliminate some of the competition before heading to the tower? Replied Naruto. Miko said, fix the results? Naruko said, spill blood for Anko? Sasuke said, I'm thinking more along the lines of Naruko's idea. Sakura sighed and said, well, it appears that I'm outnumbered. If we come across a team with an adept on it, I think we should leave them alone, though. After nodding, the six of them leapt off. Sensing something was amiss in the wind ahead, Naruto, Sveta, Miko, and Naruko tensed as they leapt through the trees. They encountered a wind jutsu right away, which attempted to carry them away. That wouldn't exist for Miko and Naruto. With a mental shout of, Tempest, they flung their hands forward, and the combined wind repelled the opponents, who then made himself visible. Everyone's eyes narrowed, but Naruto's in particular. Growling, Naruto said, Orochimaru. Startled, Sakura questioned, the snake Sanin? Why would he be here? The Uchiha's Sharingan, no doubt. Orochimaru remarked, looks like you are a perceptive one, Namikaze. Naruto retorted, go to hell, snake. With the Jupiter blade in his hand, he said, guys, there's no holding back. With the dark Jupiter blade in hand, Naruko remarked, I've been looking to get some snakeskin boots. Miko said, holding a bolt of lightning, I'm game. With her sylph rapier in hand, Sakura remarked, might as well see where Isaac got me. As his Sharingan transformed, Sasuke uttered, like hell I'm letting him take my eyes. It now had the appearance of 3 rotating ovals, resembling an atom. A 6-point star was also visible coming from the center. The eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, which Sasuke possessed, was in use. My, you're so far with the Sharingan, even moving past the normal limits. Sasuke said, I've gone farther than Itachi. Naruto proved it to be true. Naruto had succeeded in trapping the normal Sharingan in a genjutsu once he had reached full development. It caused him to relive his greatest regret and worst fear. The fact that the 6-point star was absent earlier was the next point that needed to be made. Hinata was to blame for that. She was able to break the curse that bound the Mangekyo Sharingan because of her training with Mia, but the outcome was intriguing. It was further advanced with the addition of the 6-point star. Orochimaru's gaze grew wide. No, within 3 seconds of Sasuke's eyes meeting Orochimaru's widened ones, he collapsed to the ground, yelling. Naruto gave Sasuke a look. The hell did you make him see? Found his worst fear, and played it in front of his eyes for 168 hours on a loop, replied Sasuke. Naruto let out a whistle. That's sadistic. Sasuke shuddered, it's more like disturbing. I'll explain that later, though. We should kill him right now, before he can recover and flee. After nodding, Naruto touched Orochimaru's forehead, causing his eyes to change from their typical blue to 3 purple rings with 3 tomos on each ring extending from the pupil. The Jubi's eyes, too. They all saw a floating creature behind Naruto that resembled a head more than anything else. Orochimaru. The Shinigami has just you unworthy to live. Your memories will be stripped and your soul devoured. Judgment has been passed. Sentence commenced. They witnessed Orochimaru's body drop to the ground as his soul was drawn from it, and then the soul was drawn into his head, which vanished shortly after. The body had broken apart, but it had come together to form the Kusanagi sword. Naruto appeared disgusted as his eyes returned to their typical state. Sasuke, I will never look at a Sannin the same way. Sasuke arched an eyebrow and asked, you saw his greatest fear? Oh yeah. How the hell does someone become afraid of a rabbit? I mean, seriously? Sakura, eh? Rabbit? She exhaled. After glancing at each other, Naruto, and the sword, Miko, Sveta, and Naruko all burst out laughing. Sasuke and Sakura soon followed, and Naruto soon laughed and joined in. They shook their heads and turned to face Yugito's team, their newcomers, after they had overcome the fact that an S-rank shinobi was terrified of defenseless rabbits. Karui and Yugito were accompanied by a man. Naruto knew that this was Omoi. He was far too cautious, Karui said. Yugito inquired, so, what happened here? With a nod, Naruto said, Yugito, Karui. Omoi said, don't you think we should run? We're outnumbered, and we didn't use a surprise attack. Both Naruto and Yugito shook their heads. Yugito acknowledged, Omoi, not even I stand a chance here. Then why are we confronting them? Yugito said, I'm actually curious. Which one of you is the one that summoned a part of the Shinigami? Naruto held up a hand. It was his unmasked head. I had to take the soul out of one unworthy of life. Though, I was expecting a much harder fight from Orochimaru of the Sannin. Sasuke gave a snort. Well, I found out just why he wanted the Sharingan so much. I immobilized him in one move. Omoi's gaze expanded. And you want us to fight? Hell no. Said Karui. We be creamed, Naruto inquired. Which scroll do you have? Heaven. The earth scroll that Naruto had discovered in the heap of ashes was thrown to them. The two nodded and said, good luck in the next round, Yugito, Karui. Omoi inquired, astonished, you're giving us the scroll? Why not? I am Yugito's superior. A superior must take care of his subordinates, replied Naruto. Change of plans, guys. We're heading to the tower. Ah, whimpered Naruko. No blood. The others let out a sigh. Fine. Through the woods, the three teams leapt. Since Orochimaru's possessed body turned to ashes and left the Kusanagi, all that was left of his body was a roughly head. They took the sword and head with them, sealed in a scroll. They arrived at the tower and entered. The inscription was examined by all three teams. The first thing Naruto said was, balance. That's what it's talking about. Heaven represents the mind, and earth represents the body. Team 7 and Team 13 nodded as Sakura continued, by understanding peace synergy and its nuances, we've seen what balance can do. Sveta said, I think we should open the scrolls now. After nodding, all 9 genin opened them. Naruto recognized the seal right away. Shit, summoning seals, toss him. Naruto commanded them to do, and 3 crosses materialized. Team 7, Team 13, and Yugito's team all sent Iruka, Kushina, and Kurabi. Kushina remarked, I was expecting you to get through, but not this quickly. No kidding. Said Iruka. You're the first to arrive and shattered the previous record. You got here in 48 minutes. Kurabi asked, can you really say you didn't expect them here? There's 3 Jinchuriki, and a Biju's replacement in these exams. Kushina said, we did, just thought it would take another hour. Dramatically, Naruto gripped his chest and said, Ka-san, you wound me. Oh yeah. He produced a second scroll. We took out Orochimaru in 2 moves total. Sasuke stopped him, and I ripped out his soul. Kushina's gaze expanded. Anbu had already been dispatched to find him. Naruto gestured with the scroll he was holding. Naruto gave her a big, toothy smile and said, his head and sword are in this scroll. Sarutobi avoided entering the room. Sarutobi blinked at the 3 teams, asking, Kushina, why did this quickly? All 9 genin gave a nod. Kushina, we need you on the search for. Kushina said, Orochimaru is already dead, Sochi? Naruto unsealed the sword and head after opening the scroll. Sasuke immobilized him with a single technique, which would make me wonder if Itachi did the same to him. If I didn't already see it when I took his soul and fed it to the Shinigami. His 15th C rank to Hot Springs Country left far more of an impact than he let on. Oh, and he was the leader of Otogakure, and the plans for it have already been stopped. I also know where each of his spies are, who they are, every single base he had, which ones he uses, prisons, labs, jutsu, everything. I'll have to go through it all, and write up a report on everything. Sasuke gave a nod. Everyone blinked, then laughed. How a Sannin could be afraid of rabbits, I'll never understand. Sarutobi gave a headshake. He could hide it, but he never got over it. To this day, I wonder if those rabbits were immortal, or just outright demonic. Naruto gave a headshake. Immortal, not demon, I would have known. Alright, I'll put the teams down, and recall the Anbu. Naruto and Sasuke will be splitting the bounty. Sarutobi said. They continued to converse before being shown to their rooms. Gaara and his team arrived within an hour, followed by Piers and his team and Team 8. Fu and her team arrived 3 hours later. 10 teams had completed by the end of the 5th day, one of which came from Otogakure, who were furious that they were unable to complete their mission. Kabuto had been concerned, but he and his team managed to finish. For some reason, he couldn't meet with Orochimaru, and it was unsettling that the snake Sannin wasn't present at the moment. The Hokage gave a speech during their meeting in the Grand Hall, but the Adepts largely ignored it. Since there were far too many for the finals, there must essentially be preliminary rounds. First match. Zaku Abumi vs Sasuke Uchiha. The proctor said something. If you are not one of the two, please head to the balconies above. The proctor inquired, any disagreements with this match? Sasuke said, nope. I'm good, then begin. Zaku was roasted alive by a massive explosion of fire, heat, and lava that came from beneath him before anything could be done. Pyroclasm had been used by Sasuke. All that remained was a dried up husk devoid of distinguishing characteristics. I win. Winner, Sasuke Uchiha, exhaled the proctor. Sasuke simply approached the balcony to join his group. Overkill? Naruto declared, we're shinobi, there's no such thing as overkill. Rei vs Piers and Akusa Kunoichi came down. The game ended quickly. Blizzard, a Mercury Jin, was used to freeze the Kusanin. Then he turned to face the proctor. She can't move until I unfreeze her, and I can kill in 500 different ways at the moment. Call the match. Winner, Piers. Tenden Higurashi vs Naruko Uzumaki. Naruko grinned. The two confronted one another. Begin the match. Naruko threw Senbon, and Tenten threw Kunai. All of them were deflected. A single Senbon deflected everything Tenten threw, including Shuriken, Kunai, and Senbon. This continued for several minutes. Everybody started to perspire. Naruko just let out a sigh. She questioned, is ranged combat all you got? Are you mocking me? The comment did not appear to please Tenten, who said, no, I'm asking so I don't get any less bored. Judai's materialized in Naruko's hand as she shook her head. A sadistic expression replaced Naruko's bored expression as he said, time to rain some blood. Now, every Uzumaki in the room was tense. Although the Chunin, Team 7, and Team 13 saw the blurs, Naruko disappeared from view. Tenten was unable to keep up and was unable to see where he should strike. Moreover, she was unable to unseal any weapon. Then she felt her arm swell with blood. She examined it before her right cheek sustained another cut. Then her left ankle, which made her drop to her knee in shock. Cuts popped up all over her skin, clothes, and body. Her hair was unaffected, even though the hairbands holding it in those two buns were cut. The blood was coming from several sources, but she was unable to keep up. Literally everywhere. Tenten was never given a chance to think or reach for anything during the 6 minutes that this went on. Then, licking the blood from Tenten's left cheek, Naruko emerged behind her kneeling form. Not good enough. Naruko disappeared and then resurfaced 8 feet ahead of Tenten, her back to her, and snapped with her left hand, tearing Tenten's clothes to shreds from the attack. Tenten became aware of this very quickly, but she was unable to conceal herself before eventually fainting from blood loss. According to Naruko, I'm bored. I should have let more blood flow. The proctor exhaled, winner Naruko Uzumaki. Naruko treated Tenten's wounds after the medics removed her. Alright, time for the next match. Miko Uzumaki vs Kitsuchi. This match was also brief. Kin attempted to toss Senbon, but Wind stopped them. Miko remained motionless. Miko questioned, is that all you've got? Grr. The next wave of Senbon were deflected, and Miko shook her head. She let out a sigh. She gazed into Kin's eyes and said, there are moments when I question whether it was worthwhile to enter as a genin. One more chance. If you fail, then I'll finish it immediately, and I'll make it painful. You mock me? Kin made some hand gestures despite being horrified. Miko shook her head, dismissing the less than terrifying hell as demonic illusion. Nibi's personal hell. She broke it right away, saying, you know, that's nothing compared to what goes on in Naruko's mind, much less my own and Naruto's. My turn. At that moment, Kin was struck simultaneously by 75 lightning bolts, which had the following effects. Kin let out a painful scream. Gaara's eyebrows went up. Naruto gave a headshake. Naruko sulked. The lightning and several simultaneous casts of spark plasma burned Kin's form. Miko made the decision to feel her pulse. She glanced at the proctor and said, dead. Damn, Thought she'd survive a toned-down version. Oh well. Winner, Miko Uzumaki. Comparing Temari and Gaara of the desert. Temari went pale. I forfeit. Gaara gave her a fierce look, but he paused when he sensed Naruto's mental assault. He turned to face the blonde, who shook his head. Winner by forfeit, Gaara. Karui Black Bolt versus Conquero of the desert. Are there going to be any forfeits here? Both of them gave a headshake. Then begin. Without moving outside, Naruto sent Karui a picture of what needed to be done. Karui received it and put it to use right away. The wind increased significantly, trapping Conquero inside a cyclone that lifted him into the air, tearing off the bandages to reveal the true Conquero and tearing the puppet's skin. Then she knocked Ray unconscious by using him. Winner, Kurai Black Bolt, said the proctor. Neji Hyuga versus Hinata Hyuga. Many were concerned because they were aware of their situation prior to Synergy's involvement. According to the proctor, any objections? None, said Neji. Hinata went on, same here. The proctor leapt back and said, begin. Neji and Hinata assumed the same pose, although Hinata's was a little looser than Neji's. Neji. The words, I hold no grudge for you any longer, caused Team 9 to enlarge their eyes. I thank you for getting over it, it is one thing I've wanted. Neji activated his Byakugan. The veins surrounding Hinata's eyes swelled, and her eyes shone a pale blue. She said, let us parley. In the traditional Juken, the two started exchanging blows, but neither side's blows ever found their mark. But 5 minutes later, the two leapt back, landing 18 feet apart. Neji, shall we take it up a notch? Quite. Debilitate. Hinata's form was covered by a red shield that broke. Hail Prism. Neji dodged each of the hail that chased him after it formed in the air. Heatwave. When ice formed, Hinata was shielded from a blast of fire. Glacial Shield. It was blocked and held by a wall of ice before breaking into numerous pieces. Icehorn. Neji retaliated as the shards charged him. Flare Storm. The two stared at each other as the fire melted each piece. Neji threw out his hand and exclaimed, 8 trigrams air palm. Hinata leapt into the air to avoid it. Fireball. He hurled multiple tiny flaming balls at Hinata. But what he didn't anticipate was another glacial shield, followed by the formation of ice behind her, creating wings entirely composed of ice. A bow materialized in her hands as she said, this is my own original P-Synergy technique. Tundra Wings. It had spikes on the tips of the shaft and resembled a typical longbow, but it was more blue. She created an arrow by charging chakra into her hand. P-Synergy stepped into it and released the arrow, causing it to split in 3, with each one narrowly missing Neji. Now this is something the Hyuga clan could do, and is currently unique to me, and me alone. Frost Arrow. Neji was in a perfect triangle with the 3 arrows, saying, almost had me there, but almost only counts in horseshoes and paper bombs. Hinata smirked and asked, who said I was aiming for you? Before unleashing an Arctic blast that instantly frozen Neji, all 3 arrows glowed. She unfrozen Neji's head as she landed next to him after flapping her wings. An arrow composed entirely of ice formed in her hand, and she notched the bow, aiming it at his left eye. Forfeit the match, Neji. I don't wish to kill you. Even the strongest Mercury adepts can't get out of one of these prisons, and you've got 3 surrounding you. Please, surrender. Neji was able to exhale. I forfeit. There is nothing I can do. Winner, Hinata Hyuga. She released Neji by waving her hand and letting the arrow scatter. I'm sorry, Neji. You're too kind-hearted, Hinata. It will be your downfall. Neji issued a warning. As long as you don't piss me off. Yugito Ni versus Fu. Naruto grasped the railing with his hands. Few people knew who these two were, including him. Kakashi gave him a look. Something wrong? Sakura and Sasuke turned to face him. Naruto's voice was solemn. A Jinchuriki battle. In the preliminaries. Not good, so not good. Yugito Ni was being stared down by a girl with orange eyes and mint green hair who was sporting a Takikakure headband. Yugito said, you're out of your league, Fu. Forfeit your match. Fu shot back, not gonna happen, human bitch. Fu. Yugito. I don't care what happens, but don't get the observers caught in the crossfire. Naruto's expression was one of commanding his subordinates, and everyone's eyes were on him. Yugito and Fu exchanged a startled glance before turning to face one another. The simultaneous question was, how many? To which Yugito replied, 2. Smirking, Fu said, 7. I have full control, as well. Fu sulked, damn, only 5. Yugito proposed, Then let's see where we stand against each other. Biju techs only. Fu started to resemble a beetle more and more, agreed. Although Yugito was wearing a two-tailed cloak, her human form was still visible beneath it. It was shocking that the fight, which only involved two people attempting to slug each other with Yuki, lasted for almost 40 minutes. Neither had much of an edge, but Fu was getting tired easily. Yugito said, "You're reaching your limit." Although it was weak, Fu's response was, "You must be reaching yours." "Not so, Fu," said Yugito. "As I have full control, I am not harmed by the Yuki Nibi gives me. You, on the other hand, are." Fu's eyes grew wide, then closed and she withdrew her Yuki. "I am sorry, I must forfeit." Winner, Yugito ni. Nobody said anything. Kunoichi were not involved in the fight. The fight was between two Jinchuriki, that's what it was. Yugito extended his hand. "If not for the fact I'm not by Nibi's Yuki, then I doubt I would have won in that situation." Fu held it, grinning weakly. "Let's hope." They glanced at Naruto's location. The word was. Now, Naruto was clinging to the wall, displaying a videotape and taking out a camera. "I'm going to be watching this one for a while," he thought. Kuretsuchi vs. Kiba in Izuka. As Kuretsuchi descended, Kiba leapt to the ground. Kiba was strangely quiet as the two gazed down. He simply gazed at her. "Something on my face?" "You smell like dirt and fire." Kuretsuchi took offense at the casual remark. Calmly, Naruto said, "It's because you're a Mars adept." Before turning to face Kiba, Kuretsuchi nodded and said, "Oh. Well, that makes more sense. Okay bastard, I'll give you choices. Lava, or constriction." "Huh?" Kiba asked, perplexed. The proctor simply allowed them to fight it out. They were aware that it had started. "How do you want to lose?" Kuretsuchi asked again this question. "Lava or constriction?" "How about neither?" Kiba rushed, but after 3 steps, he was immobile. Why? Vine was a djinn that Kuretsuchi had released. Akamaru and Kiba were caught up in the vines. "What the?" Kuretsuchi said, "Since you won't choose, I'll use both." Then she raised her hand. "Liquefier." Kiba was knocked off his feet, but it wasn't that strong. "Jinni summon." Venus. Kiba and Akamaru were unable to dodge in time as stars and an astral form that glowed a golden brown emerged from the ground beneath them. They were both knocked out by that. Kuretsuchi appeared arrogant. She turned to Naruto and said, "Didn't think you'd be this weak. Here I thought you'd have taught some of these guys P synergy." Naruto gave a headshake. "Not enough time for a full set. Only a select few know how it's used, and even fewer can use it." Winner, Kuretsuchi. Kuretsuchi approached Naruto and grinned at him. "Kuro, I'm already married." She retorted, "What the wife doesn't know, won't hurt her." Naruto looked at Sveta and said, "Hard to say that when she's right next to me. Besides, I'd tell her anyway, and let her take you out." "Wait." Kuretsuchi said, glancing at Sveta and pausing to reflect. "You mean she's?" "I'm going to enjoy ripping you apart in the finals." The next match was announced at that very moment. Sveta Uzumaki vs. Naruto Uzumaki. Everyone's eyes widened at this. Gaara's eyes widened as Baki, the Chunin sensei of his team, turned to face him. Why is everyone so surprised? Sibling rivalry? Still in disbelief, Gaara shook his head. "Gaara? Eternal mates. Fighting. Mother is scared." At that, Baki's only visible eye widened. He was aware of Gaara's mother, and it wasn't good if she was afraid. Naruto and Sveta were standing in the middle of the arena, looking down at one another. Naruto remarked, "I never expected this to happen." "Nor did I." Sveta acknowledged this. Sveta raised an eyebrow in response to Naruto's statement. "You know what? I think we can settle this in a way most shinobi wouldn't bother to." "How so?" Naruto's Umbra armor was replaced with a leather jacket and an orange undershirt featuring 3 spirals arranged in a circle on the chest in the shape of a delta. He was wearing New Balance high-dot top sneakers and his pants had changed to blue jeans. He wore a baseball cap bearing the Konohagakure emblem. Naruto grinned in his new attire and said, "I'm not gonna hold back." Sveta merely gave him a blink. Her expression changed to one of annoyance. "Oh no, you have got to be fucking kidding me." The music begins. After everyone had been wondering where it was coming from, Naruto began to speak. The others were drenched in sweat, but Sveta just glared at him. This is meant to be a battle between shinobi? This one didn't even appeal to Gaara. In Shukaku's opinion, it simply violated too many rules. Karui and Yugito moaned. Kurabi's eyes gleamed as he gazed at Naruto. Unusual, given that he had on sunglasses. Though not for the same reason as the others, Kushina was also taken aback. A rap battle. Oh, this is gonna be good. Sveta asked, changing into a stereotypical punk girl outfit. You think you're tough shit now? Or did you forget who you're rapping against? It was Sveta's turn, as the music changed rhythms. The first person to comment was Karabi. Pretty good, let's see what he's got in response. Karui, Omoi, and Yugito all grimaced, but no one chose to argue with him. Naruto answered, that was aight, but let me lay something fresh on ya. Miko deadpanned, Naruto, you're not black. Although Naruto's skin darkened to Karabi's hue, he remained the same. Oh, and FYI Sveta, Naruto interrupted himself in the middle of his rap. To the surprise of everyone who wasn't used to seeing it, Sveta's eye twitched before she transformed into her beast form. You know something, Naruto? I don't think you know who you're dealing with anymore. Allow me to fill you in. Naruto shouted indignantly, I do not wear mascara. Sveta's eyebrow went up. Then why did I catch you putting it on in my room that day? With a growl, Naruto transformed into his beast form, revealing 2 Venus, 2 Mars, and 6 Mercury Jin. The villagers of Konoha stiffened. The Hokage instructed the Anbu not to strike in silence. Everyone who wasn't from Konohagakure, was an Adept, or was a Jinchuriki, including Team 10 and Team 8, was now terrified. Allow us to explain. The music ceased because everyone was somewhat enraged that he ended it in that manner. The two were the center of attention. So, who won? Inquired the proctor, or is it not over yet? The onlookers gazed at him. Naruto and Sveta avoided making eye contact. Naruto's 10 Jin caught the attention of Sveta's 9 Jin. Omega gazed at Iris's ghostly figure. With only straps holding her legs together, a top that barely covered anything but her breasts, and a white and gold robe that was open in the front and showed off from just below the breasts. Iris appeared to be a woman who was hardly dressed from the waist down. She looked directly into Omega's eyes. There was tension in the air itself. Kakashi gave Kushina a look. You seem to know. How do these things usually end? Kushina notices a TV when she looks up at the sky. You decide.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.